ahead of its upcoming impeachment inquiry. Parliament recently concluded the composition of the impeachment committee, which will be made up of 31 MPs from 16 different political parties. The committee will look into whether Ramaphosa violated his oath of office in the alleged burglary cover-up of his Palapala farm, where a large sum of foreign currency was stolen. PA leader Gayton McKenzie says no one in his party caucus will vote in favor of Ramaphosa's impeachment.
So President Ramaphosa, if you think we are going to vote against President Ramaphosa, I don't even know why they're calling us. You must stop calling me to say you need the PA's votes. There's no vote of the PA that you'll get. All the parties are calling, they are now trying to mobilize. We are on the other side. We are on the side of the government of national unity.
Sisisi Dolashe may have been fired as Social Development Minister, but the chairperson of Parliament's Portfolio Committee, Bridget Masango, says a R3 million trip Dolashe took to New York will not be left unprobed. President Cyril Ramaphosa removed Dolashe last week after months of scandal involving irregular appointments in the department. Her temporary replacement, Minister Sindisiwe Chikunga, yesterday presented the department's more than R300 billion budget on the 20th anniversary of Social Security Agency SASSA. Lindsay Dentlinker reports.
Last October, former Minister Sisisi Dolashe sought to explain to the Portfolio Committee the expenditure for her and several officials to attend the Commission on the Status of Women. But she was asked to return with more detail. Committee Chairperson Bridget Masango says the department has been avoiding accountability.
The department has still not honoured its undertaking to provide a detailed breakdown of the costs relating to the taxpayers' R3 million reportedly spent on a New York trip.
Meanwhile, DAMP Nazli Sharif has appealed to Acting Minister Sindisiwe Chikunga to follow through on those implicated by the Public Service Commission and a department forensic investigation into irregular staff appointments made during Dolashe's tenure.
All of those who are guilty of wrongdoings, including the former minister's special advisor, must be held accountable.
Chikunga says the department will be filling all critical posts, including that of Director General, with the previous appointment one of those that landed Dolashe in hot water. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And the death toll from heavy rains across central and southern China has risen to 22. 20 more people are still unaccounted for since rain started last weekend. A report the previous day by Xinhua News says that more than 61,000 people in one provincial county have been affected by the downpours. Government authorities have allocated more than $17 million in disaster relief funds for 5 affected regions. Gold is trading at $4,461.74 an ounce. The rand is at 16.72 to
South Africa.
Well, there you have it. The all-new Toyota BZ4X, an all-wheel drive battery electric SUV made to handle South Africa. The BZ4X, it just got real.
702 is in conversation with Capitec, discussing how South Africans can protect themselves against financial crime.
What scammers understand and what most of us don't fully appreciate is that our brains are wired to make fast decisions when we feel excited or under pressure. So the fear of missing out on a great deal is a powerful emotion, and scammers deliberately engineer that feeling. The ticking clock, the other interested buyer, the seller is about to leave town. So they use attractive prices. That's in itself a tool. It creates excitement and urgency, and it makes people willing to move fast without thinking or asking questions. And the surge in the digital era is also about scale. So a single scammer can run dozens of fake listings. In the physical world, a fraudulent car dealer or landlord has limited reach. Online, the same fraud can be deployed at industrial scale with almost no cost.
Slam the scam with Capitec. Capitec is an authorized financial services provider and registered credit provider.
702.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
Welcome back. It's the open line on the Clement Manyathela Show. My name is Khomatsa Modise. Thank you so much for tuning in. I do see your call, so let's take some of them. Joe, you're in Randburg. Good morning. Thank you so much for your call.
Morning, Khomatsa. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm okay. Look, I see on the media people will come to say, hey, refugees, the law of Pan-African. Look, government of South Africa had 20 years to fix all these things. Put the terms and conditions of DRC people, there's a refugee, and these are the terms and conditions. But now, if you look at everything, it's mixed, it's worse, and that's why South Africans, when they say South African friends, they feel like all the foreigners, they are mixed. You can't tell which ones are refugees that we should be treated, which ones should be here in South Africa. It's everything that is mixed, and that when it sparks. That's why you see South African people that just tied. What was it last week? There's a number of unemployment rate went higher with more than 1 million. Now, the millions of South Africans that are not working, and you see, let's not be realistic. You know, there are more companies that are hire foreigners. Some they're documented, some are undocumented. Now, when you are a South African, you are sitting home, you have no job. What's going to happen? When they say, you see South African are protesting, they don't say we don't want foreigners. But then they say put South African first. But you look at the fault here is our government, not only South African government, the whole African, Pan-African governments. They are not putting the embassy of, there's the embassy of Nigeria, there's the embassy of Ghana. I don't see any media going to the embassy and say, look, in your country, there's no war, but your people, they are undocumented in South Africa and they're causing the chaos, and South Africans are standing tired, fed about that. So to use that word. What are you doing about that? What are you saying? No politician in all Africa addressing the issue of their people, immigration. This is why you see South African, they feel like we give these people enough time to fix this. We've given enough time to this documented foreigners that are allowed, that they should have all the job, all their better life like any South Africans. And there's more spite. So you see the problem is the more undocumented, let's say a Malawi undocumented, he come here, he get the job, he do crime, and there's a documented Malawi that who should have the proper documents and do the proper ways. Now, the more the undocumented brainwash or destroy or had opportunities and South Africans are left behind, this is why it become a spike. And this level, there's no government that's going to fix that. That's why people are saying, you know what, rather them, whether document and undocumented, they must go back to their countries, then they can come back proper. And now, government will just try to shield this, but it becomes out of the line now, and it's worse, and it's not going to be easy to fix it.
Joe, you know what I appreciate about, and I might not necessarily agree 100%, but what I appreciate about what you are suggesting is that you are suggesting that we engage with the embassies, we engage with the authorities, the policymakers, because what I often find in conversations like the one that we are having, and what I find in this space where there's organizations fighting illegal immigrants, is that they target the defenseless people. They target the hawker on the corner of the road, the mama who is selling tomatoes. They go for the low-hanging fruit, and they never want to target or approach the decision makers. And you're speaking, and it's an important point that you're making, to say, are the embassies being engaged? To say, okay, we see we've got the Ghanaian embassy here. We've got this many people here that are here illegally. Let's have that conversation with you. Our authorities, our leaders, have the conversations with their counterparts about what's happening in the country. That I appreciate. I think it's a sober-minded approach.
Yeah, that's where my point comes, that governments, they had enough more than 20 years to fix, to build with embassies, have the Pan-African, the AU, the African to solve this. This thing is being studied as a simple thing. It's been a simple thing that people have been watching, they've been complaining. This xenophobic, if it's a word xenophobic or not, is didn't start 5 years back or 8 years back. It's been there, but when it starts to be peaceful, it's quite, governments, instead of the focus, they don't do nothing. They just continue as nothing happening. And the more this thing is growing, it's reaching, now as we speak, it's reaching that level that people are like, enough is enough. We don't care. The word we don't care whether you are documented and undocumented, just go home to your country, fix your own country. That's what the message has been, that we've got unemployment rate is high, we've got the crime is high. And you look at all that unemployment, the crime. Foreigners, not all of them, they're doing crime, but they are doing crime. And the more they do crime, then it becomes like, where should we run to? These people, they're taking our job opportunities. These people, they're now, as you said, South Africans now, they even targeted the people who are selling on the street. It's because they send a message to the higher politicians, to the higher governments, but they don't act. This is why you see them reaching to this lower side. You know what? Since they don't want to listen our memorandums, let them throw them.
Joe, I need to take the news. Thank you so much for that. We're going to continue with the conversation after the headlines. Apologies to Sfiso Zulu for the delay. You're standing by with the headlines. Good morning.
Thanks, Khomotso. Good morning. Joburg Mayor Dada Morero is expected to unveil his new commitments when he delivers his States of the City address today. Morero's last speech before the local government elections comes as Joburgers are frustrated by worsening poor service delivery. Recent protests by residents over unreliable water supply have also prompted intensified intervention by national government to help stabilize the crisis. Civic group March and March has slammed allegations by protesting foreign nationals in Durban who have accused their members of threatening and assaulting them. A group of foreign nationals held the pickets at the Durban Central Police Station yesterday, demanding protection. They claim March and March is fueling unjustified hate against them. And Russian President Vladimir Putin is meeting with China's leader Xi Jinping. The gathering today in Beijing is aimed at strengthening ties between the two countries. Analysts say China will be more careful with its language because Xi wants to appear close to Moscow but not too close. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
In the traffic, we can all finally take a deep sigh now that some traffic conditions have eased up in most parts of Johannesburg, except for a few stubborn spots like the M1 North as you head towards the Crown Interchange remains a little bit sluggish, but other than that, the roads are clear and traffic is free-flowing. Maybe you can just look out for those faulty traffic lights in Randburg at the N1 South and Malibongwe, in Four Ways at Winnie Mandela and Monte Casino, in Woodmead at Woodmead and Woodlands, and in the capital city, traffic lights are also out in Claremont at Van der Roof and Bremer Street, in Centurion at Old Johannesburg and Brakfontein, and in Monument Park at the R21 and Solomon Mahlangu Drive. If you do come across any other traffic, you can send us that voice note on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
702 Josie, my Josie, Walk the Talk is calling on you to walk with the people for the people on Sunday, the 26th of July. Babiza Bonke. And this year you can choose from 3 different inner city routes. The 15-kilometer Mandela Bridge route takes you from Ellis Park through town up to and through the Constitutional Hill precinct, down to Bramfontein and over Mandela Bridge. Then it's through Newtown and past the Market Theatre and back to Ellis Park. So whether you're taking on the 15-kilometer, 5-kilometer or 8-kilometer, enter now on primemediaplus.com and get ready for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg.
Running a small business means every rand counts. Thanks to My Way Business Insurance, I save up to 20% on my insurance premiums every month for my buckies and tools of trade. Now I get to save some extra cash for my business and focus on giving my clients world-class service.
Switch to My Way Business Insurance and save up to 20% on your buckies and tools of trade. Real businesses, real savings. Call us on 0860 646464 for a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. Standard rates and T's and C's apply.
Chamberlain now has 10 branches throughout Gauteng, with 36,000 items in stock 98.5% of the time. Our available and knowledgeable staff are ready to help you. Big on stock, strong on service, built on values. Chamberlain, famous for hardware since 1903.
Managing your workforce shouldn't be complicated. That's why businesses choose Onacy, a proudly South African cloud-based payroll and HR solution. From payroll and e-recruitment to performance management and self-service tools, we streamline the way businesses handle their people. Scalable, secure, and always online, our system evolves with your needs because your workforce deserves the best. Switch to Onacy and experience payroll and HR done right. Visit onacy.com today.
Not every change feels like a choice. Some arrive as disruption. Shift Happens with Richard Sutton is a podcast about those moments where life moves first and you have to catch up. When certainty disappears, direction blurs, and everything familiar starts to shift. You'll hear stories from people who faced change, doubt, and pressure and found a way forward. Their stories give us confidence. Living vicariously through their experience gives us hope, and we learn from their journeys. Because what feels like an ending is often the beginning of something else. Shift Happens weekly on primemediaplus.com, the Prime Media Plus app, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Powered by First Light, therapeutics for the modern mind.
From your phone to the nation's airwaves. Open Line on the Clement Manyathela Show is brought to you by Truecaller on 702.
It's the Open Line on the Clement Manyathela Show. My name is Khomotso Modise, in for Clement this morning. Let's take some voice notes.
Good morning, Motso. Good morning. We are the Gunners. We are the Gunners. Yeah, Khomotso, we fought earlier in the week when we were speaking about pirates, but I'm glad how you opened the show, and I wish you could still be around next week, Monday, to open the Pirates show. Looking forward to a great show. Thanks, Khomotso. Olani here from the Val.
So hi, 702. I am a very happy Arsenal fan, very happy. Yes, 22 years, but if you look at the team in terms of the resilience and the fact that we stuck with them for that 22 years, you know what I mean? I think it just shows off the type of personalities we are as Arsenal fans, to actually have faith and keep believing, you know what I mean? Because I think the lesson learned out of this is you never stop believing. You know, I think Liverpool also went through the same kind of 20-year drought, and when it ended, it kind of opened up for other opportunities and so on. So I think we on a good streak going forward. We have managed to take down Titans, which are Man City at this point in time. And the one thing that we really need now is just the UEFA. Then we can never be looked down upon, because as an Arsenal fan, you're looked down upon, very much so, by every single club, even though you always come second. Mulefe from Rotherport, well done, Gunners!
Good morning, Khomotso. Yes, we are Arsenal. We are excited, but man, it doesn't feel like that much, because as much as we're excited, but not that much excited. I think the nerves are now concentrating at home more because of Sundowns Pirates. But we are excited. We are happy. At long last, now we are waiting for the UEFA Champions League. But it's been long, man. We've been long. The building has been long. Congratulations to Coach Mikel Arteta. We are happy. And Khomotso, just on a lighter note, man. You know, I want to talk, man. Does now our educational system chase away our kids because of ADHD, and then they take them to special vocational school? My son has been is now in the process of being kicked out of school at 9 years because he got ADHD, and then they feel like, no, he needs a vocational school. So it's just on a lighter note to find out if the department is allowing this. Thank you, Solo from Pretoria.
Hi, Botsolo. That is not light at all. No, I don't think that's the case. I remember having classmates who were diagnosed with ADHD many, many years ago, of course. I don't know what the system is currently. It's definitely a question that we should be asking to the department, because I don't think that's how it works. I don't think you can just kick a child out of school. And I'm interested in how they got to that decision. Yeah, that doesn't sound right to me at all. What is on a lighter note is what happened with Arsenal, and you being the champions. Let me tell you, I take, as a Kaizer Chiefs fan, I take so much inspiration from you Arsenal people. Because what is a measly, what is it? Is it 11 years? How many years since we won? Abel, how many years since we won the league? What is a measly 11 years or so when we've got people for 22 years? No, I can't take this away from you. I can't take the glory and the joy away from you. I'm very excited for you, very proud of you. And of course, yeah, let's see what happens at the weekend. I know that it's a popular combination. The Arsenal-Pirates combination is a popular one in my circles, at least. So I'm sure you are all anticipating to see what happens at the weekend as well. Thank you so much for your voice notes. I do see so many calls lined up, so let's get to them. Let's start with Tebogo in Joburg South. Tebogo, good morning. Thank you so much for holding.
Hey, how are you?
I'm very well, man. How are you?
I am super happy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I'm an Arsenal supporter. It's like we open up the tap for shut up. All the Chelsea, all the Man United, all the Liverpool supporters are just gonna have to shut up.
But
we were tired. All of them, all the Jamie Carragher, Mikel Obi, Patrice Evra. God damn it. All we need to do now is just win the Champions League. that tap is open, and I hope in a couple of weeks' time we'll be like, we are the champions of Europe. Then we can also open up that tap, and people can say, you have never been champions of Europe. It's just an amazing feeling. I mean, today should have been a public holiday.
Yeah, well, hey, you all say that when you win. Hey, listen, who do you support locally?
I support Kaiser Chiefs, and I hope Paris doesn't win the league.
Yeah.
I hope they're part of it.
Well,
I mean, coming from last week, it might happen. They might get another draw and bottle the league, and I'll be happy.
You are a resilient man.
Shut them up.
Yeah, you're a resilient
man. There's just so many Arsenal supporters, you know. Like, I guess maybe we've not been winning for a while and they've not been showing. But now when you go to social media, but I also guess Instagram and Twitter that 22 years ago were not really existent. But now you just see like a flood of Arsenal supporters.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in a WhatsApp group and we slept at 2 o'clock in the morning just talking about it. Yeah.
Yep. Well, congratulations to you, Tebogo.
All right, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Tebogo in Joburg South, a happy man there after the Arsenal win. All right, let's go to Jenny. You're in Pretoria. Thank you so much for holding. Good morning.
Hi, Komoto.
Good morning.
Listen, I live in Tshwane, in Laudium. I just want to know the difference between documented and undocumented foreigners. Because in Laudium, there's hundreds of Pakistani people owning shops. And according to my knowledge, our ward councillor, Mr. Naeem Patel, the ANC councillor, he's been accepting bribes from these Pakistanis and getting them documented. He works with Home Affairs officials and he gets these people documented. And then when Home Affairs does come to Laudium to investigate, he informs these people, those that don't have documents. And then they sort of close their shops. And the few black Zimbabwe traders that are on the streets there, they are not documented. They when the police has come or whoever, they get caught.
And you're saying this is the councillor? This is the councillor doing that?
Yes, and ANC councillor, Mr. Naeem Patel, is guilty of accepting bribes from these Pakistani shop owners. And they have huge businesses. They are not even paying tax. No one bothers, no one cares to go and investigate, because when they do, they don't find these people because corruption is so right there. He's accepting bribes in the thousands, apparently.
Yeah, I suppose,
and
Jenny,
these people, even if they do have papers, how do they get their papers? They pay bribes to get these papers.
Yeah.
Their documents.
So that's a big problem. Thank you so much for your call. Yeah, thank you for that call, Jenny. I mean, you flagging the issue around how they get the papers is a big one. I know the SIU has had a long investigation into the corruption at Home Affairs and what's been going on there, particularly the Home Affairs in Pretoria at Marabastad. That's one of the big ones where a lot of corruption happens in awarding and giving people this asylum status or refugee status as well. So that is a big problem. But I think your other big problem is, if what you're saying is true, your corrupt councillor is a big problem. And I think you need to escalate that as well, because if he is genuinely doing that, then of course that is a crime. It is corruption. And this is what I mean by lawlessness, enabling our immigration problem. I'm one of the people to admit that we do have an immigration crisis. We do have an illegal immigrant crisis. And I'm saying the lawlessness that we have in our country doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. In fact, it propels it, it amplifies it. We end up with bigger problems, because when people check this person actually does have a document to be in the country, when you investigate the document, you realize that it's been awarded illegally. It just makes it so much worse. But thank you for your call, Jenny. Let me go to Cindy in Kagiso. You've been holding for a while. Thank you so much for your patience. Good morning.
Good morning, Khomoto. On a lighter note myself as well, I say Kaizer Chiefs fans, stop being cheerleaders of Sundowns, please. Sundowns has been embarrassing us for years. It's time for Sundowns to be removed in that seat. Really.
Okay. But we don't want to see Pirates win. I think that's the thing. We don't want the joy. I can tell you now, Cindy, I don't want the joy of Pirates people.
Yeah, by not wanting the joy of Pirates, you are saying Sundowns must continue embarrassing you and I. We are big teams in South Africa, so we're two giants. How can we be embarrassed by a Pretoria team?
I hear you.
But yeah, it's whether you Waihapa or Mulato.
Yes.
Definitely. You know, Khomotso, I wanted to talk about illegal immigrants. We're not going to solve this problem in South Africa. The politicians who are acting now, because I call them actors, they're doing it for the votes. After that, you forget. Remember all these years when we were complaining about this thing. Politicians who used to call us xenophobic. They themselves, when we said there's a problem, started when Zuma opens up the borders in this country. And we started there saying we're going to have a problem in South Africa about people who are coming in this country illegally. And we were called xenophobic. Today, they're turning, because they know South Africans forget very easily. We're so forgetful about things that are happening in this country. Now they are saying, no, we need to deal with this problem. They're not going to deal with it. As citizens, we're going to deal with this issue. Up to so far, we'll end up breaking the law trying to deal with these people.
You see,
what is wrong?
That's my problem, Cindy. That's my problem.
Yeah.
When we become the lawbreakers now, and I want to hear from you, because you say that this is a plight that you've carried for a while. My biggest challenge when it comes to people saying, okay, we are fighting against the illegal immigrant crisis, which is a genuine fight. I think that is a genuine one. Talk to me about how that message been trickling down to the people on the ground. The fact that the fight is not against all immigrants, because then that is xenophobic, but it's against illegal immigrants. Because in my experience, when I go to the ground as a reporter, as a journalist, I can tell you now, no one is taking the time to check whether this person is documented or not, whether they are here legally or not. The fight and the hate is against all immigrants, and I don't think that's right.
I don't think that the fight is about all the immigrants. Remember, as a citizen, if I go to somewhere and say, "Let me see your documents," I'm breaking the law myself as a citizen.
Yes.
But we have this thing of a citizen arrest. I don't know how these laws are working. But the Home Affairs, the police, and everybody, they know we have this problem. They can solve it easily by just putting men and women on the ground, arresting. These people are here. We pass them. The police officer pass these people every day.
Yeah.
They buy from them. They take bribes from them. We know the problem. The issue is that as a citizen, I cannot do that. It's easy for me to do that. As those people of Tutula were standing in the gate of a clinic, it's easy to say, show me the documents, because people who have documented in the country that is not theirs, they must always carry their documents. Always. Always, there's no excuse. It's the law. They must carry them. That's why they were looking for those documents from those illegal immigrants.
That's unlawful. But you say that
that's unlawful.
We cannot be asking people to produce. Who are we to be asking people to produce?
That's what I'm saying.
You know,
now now the people who are supposed to do that on our behalf are not doing that. Then what? Until somebody who is illegal kills you and not being traceable, because there are no fingerprints, there's no trace. You don't know whether it's coming from Congo or Nigeria. You don't know where that person is. It can move from Pretoria to Soweto.
All right, Cindy, we do have to end it there. I do see more calls coming. Charlie, I know you've been holding for a while, and Sanele, I'm coming to you right after this.
Each year, between 800 and 1,000 children in South Africa are diagnosed with cancer, leukemia being one of the most common. And for many, a stem cell donor is a possible cure. At DKMS Africa, we help finding matching stem cell donors for patients with blood disorders and cancers. So, this World Blood Cancer Month, register at dkmsafrica.org and help a patient find their match.
Apparently, something big is coming our way, Mzansi. It seems like a takeover is about to happen. And with it comes big change and even bigger ideas, more opportunities and more ways to win at life. So if you're tired of life never giving you a real chance, be on the lookout on the 1st of June 2026, because that chance you've been waiting for is finally coming home with Size Kaya. A new chapter begins. Stay tuned for updates on the 21st of May.
Did you know that you are entitled to buy a new, demo, or used car without a service or a maintenance plan? You can also use an independent workshop for all servicing and maintenance needs without your warranty being automatically voided. Independent workshops are entitled to all technical info and parts needed to work on your vehicle, so you can shop around for the best price and service. Right to Repair. It's your choice. Visit righttorepair.org.za.
This Saturday, catch 702 Music with Kenny Maestri live from the Kingsmead Book Fair, brought to you by Standard Bank Wealth and Investment. We're bringing you bold ideas, big conversations, and inspiring stories as we wander into wonder. Hear from leading voices, including Standard Bank Chief Economist Gulam Balam, and dive into talks on generational wealth, global change, and the future. So don't miss 702 Music with Kenny Maestri this Saturday from 10 a.m., brought to you by Standard Bank Wealth and Investment on 702.
702
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
It's the open line right here on 702. Charlie, you're in Midrand. Good morning. Thank you so much for your patience.
Yes, Kumuso, how are you?
I'm very well.
It's just that time will kill us, but let us just take it back. I've been talking to Aubrey Masango, Clement Manyathela, Aki, is it 5 a.m. And then Bongani.
Yeah.
So the thing is, like, I don't know, 702 has become like a talk show, no action.
Yeah.
Let me just put it like that.
Okay.
So, yeah, I've been raising the issue about how Zimbabweans were fluctuating to South Africa. Remember, removing Zimbabweans in South Africa will solve at least 60% of South Africa, let's say 40% of South Africa's problem. Just Zimbabweans only. But let us look at it's just neighbors to neighbors. So let us look who started this problem. Let's take it back to Thabo Mbeki era. Thabo Mbeki went to Zimbabwe, facilitating the elections that were rigged, that he ended up coming back to us Zimbabweans, telling us, sorry Zimbabweans, we rigged this election. There was no other way we could sort this than to allow Robert Mugabe to be the president. So if that issue was solved then, Zimbabweans, even me, I would not be on ZEP, or I would not be a ZEP holder. I was to go back to Zim. Then comes Zuma. Zuma gave us ZEPs. He understood that this is not a resolved, this issue is not going to be resolved. He documented people, and then we get ZEP. That's why we are ZEP holders, some of us. Then comes Ramaphosa. On the leadership of Ramaphosa, truly the NPF lost the election. Even me, I have been in all the toys against the NPF. For me to go back, it's not that I'm happy to stay on ZEP. I need to go back home.
Yeah,
but the thing is,
so wait, Charlie. So because I don't have a lot of time, and I want you to bring your
yes,
point across. What do you
I
suggest
have a lot
happens?
to talk.
What must happen?
Okay, so the leadership of South Africa, whatsoever that we are putting as mediators after elections. Look at what happened to Mozambique. Mozambicans, they were fixing their country just as South Africans are fixing their country. I'm talking about citizens now. What happened? ANC was sent, and Zimbabwean leadership was sent to Mozambique to cool down the people, so that the people will be forced to understand what is currently available, to accept what was available.
So,
that is exactly what happened with the Ramaphosa when he went to Zimbabwe. He went to qualify the election that were totally rigged, and then in return, that is when he was paid by this pala money that you guys were told it was a buffalo money. That man was from Zimbabwe, smart gold, from our gold that is paid in return of rigging election that they did in Zim.
So wait, Charlie. So you're saying that South Africa is enabling your problems there. It's enabling the immigration crisis and what? And it's striking, our leaders are striking deals with your leaders?
That is exactly what I'm saying. In payback now, you and me, we are hating each other. But look at Ramaphosa was in Zim last week, collecting more dollars again. That will be that this man invested in Zimbabwe. South African, you are not told. He's just protecting his interests.
That's Charlie in Midrand there. Look, I mean, I know a lot of people have been very critical, as we should be, about the dealings and the visit that the president had to Mnangagwa. There's been a lot of explaining that's been done. There's also a Zimbabwean politician who the president has been criticized for meeting there as well. I do think we shouldn't make unfounded allegations. I know that we like to see South Africa as playing the big brother role of the continent. I do think, though, Charlie, that at some point also there must be an accountability to say, we also must do something to fix the problem. And I like that you're saying you want to go home. It's a sentiment that many people have. They want to go home. They don't want to stay here forever. They want to go home, but things are just not looking good where they are from. Lishanola, you're my last call for this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Ceci. How are you?
I'm very well. Go ahead.
See, rule of law, Ceci. Rule of law to some people, and sorry, I'm going to include the media, and I'm going to include some of the talk show hosts and the media and print media and all of that. The rule of law suits them. When it's a rule of them, it's okay with them when it suits them. But when it doesn't suit them, they start pointing it out, that people are breaking the law and all of that, the rule of law. The law clearly states that asylum seekers will seek asylum in the neighboring country. I think there's a reason. When they came up with that law, there was a reason, realizing that you are likely, I'm likely to have a child with a Zimbabwean or a Lesotho or a Mozambican or a Botswana person. So that is what the law says. You come and seek asylum to the nearest country. Now you got Ethiopians, you got Nigerians, you got Somalians. They are so arrogant. They are so arrogant. The cause of this problem right now, it's the South African government. They've let this thing go on and go on for way too long. Now they can't nip it on the bud.
Yeah, that's Lishana in Midrand. Oh, I wish we had more time. Look, it's not our law that we only take asylum seekers from neighboring countries. That's not our law. So when our local home affairs officials grant asylum and refugee status to people from other countries further from us, they're not acting unlawfully. So maybe what you're speaking about is whether we should have another look at the policy issues, which I think is another conversation altogether. Thank you so much for your calls.
Every morning, same taxi, same rush, same noise. And someone wants something. Your time, your attention. At work, in the streets, on my phone. Scammers, strangers, always calling. Now I have to put my phone on flight mode. Yes, silence, control, peace. The choice is not to put your phone on flight mode. Auto-block the noise by upgrading to Truecaller Premium for just R29.99 per month. Truecaller, trust the real ones. Available on the Play Store and the App Store.
Everyone has that ex, deleted their number, deleted photos, even the mom's number. But there's one thing you keep, their hoodies. It's time to let go. The street store is encouraging you to donate those clothes you're holding on to because someone else could use them, because letting it go looks good on you. Donate to the street store before the 22nd of May. Visit thestreetstore.org for more.
In life's most challenging moments of loss, compassion can be your greatest comfort. You shouldn't have to face the financial burden of losing a loved one by yourself. Rest assured, Clientele's funeral plans pay out cash within 24 hours. You can cover up to 13 family members on one plan, ensuring all your loved ones are taken care of, and 3 children are covered at no additional cost. With Clientele, you're not just buying a plan, you're also buying peace of mind. When the time comes, you will need to make important calls with your 200 Rand airtime you will receive when you claim. Plans offer double accidental death cover, as well as transport, grocery, and unveiling benefits. Apply today. It's easy. There are no medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
When we come back, we're going to be having that conversation about the demonstrations, the anti-immigrant protests in Durban. For now, though, it's 10 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. We begin with breaking news. Northwest anti-crime activist Tato Mulusankwe has been murdered. Police say he was shot at his home in Maikeng in the early hours of this morning. Mulusankwe has been described as a community-minded figure who worked closely with law enforcement officials in the fight against crime and corruption. Acting National Police Commissioner Puleng Dimpane has ordered that maximum resources be deployed to track down the attackers. Police spokesperson Athlenda Mate.
Lieutenant General Dimpane has strongly condemned the brutal murder and assured the community that no stone will be left unturned until those responsible are found and brought to book.
Joburg Mayor Dada Morero is expected to deliver his State of the City address today. Morero's speech comes as Joburgers are growing frustrated by worsening poor service delivery. Recent protests by residents over unreliable water supply have also prompted intensified intervention by national government to help stabilize the crisis. Kosikona Malingamnisi reports.
Mayor Dada Morero will attempt to convince residents that his administration is regaining control of the troubled metro. He's recently intensified operations operations targeting illegal activity in the CBD, including businesses accused of employing undocumented foreign nationals. Despite the crackdown, the city continues to battle deepening financial and service delivery crises. National Treasury is keeping a close eye after Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana intervened to stop a wage agreement between the Metro and Workers' Union SAMU. In a new development, Eskom has served the city with notice of its intention to reduce, interrupt or terminate electricity supply to certain bulk supply points, citing debt that has now climbed to 5.2 billion rand. Or see Kwana Malingamnisi Eyewitness News.
Civic group March and March has slammed allegations by protesting foreign nationals in Durban who have accused their members of threatening and assaulting them. A group of foreign nationals held a picket at the Durban Central Police Station demanding protection. They claim March and March is fueling unjustified hate against them. But March and March leader Jacinta Ngobese Zuma says this is not true.
I think really it speaks of a government that has failed its own people. And in doing so, they have enabled us to be infiltrated by all kinds of people whose intentions are definitely not good for this country.
She's reiterated the group's call for stricter measures against undocumented foreign nationals.
South Africa needs to take its immigration laws more seriously because it stands a very big chance of creating a certain level of entitlement that they themselves will not be able to manage.
And Russian President Vladimir Putin is meeting with China's leader Xi Jinping today. The gathering in Beijing is aimed at strengthening ties between the two countries. Analysts say China will be more careful with its language because Xi wants to appear close to Moscow but not too close. China is still the biggest buyer of Russian oil and a key ally despite Western sanctions against Moscow. Putin will be seeking to strengthen the relationship. A new pipeline that could deliver up to 50 billion cubic meters of natural gas to China and will be high on the agenda. Gold is trading at $4,461.74 an ounce. The rand is at 16.72 to the dollar, 22.39 to the pound, 19.39 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $110.48 a barrel.
In the traffic in Boysons, traffic remains slow on the M1 North as you approach the Crown interchange. And in Waterkloof Ridge, there's been an accident causing delays on the N1 North from the Flying Saucer interchange.
A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 17 and 18 degrees. The breaking story in EWN this hour, Northwest anti-crime activist Tato Mulusankwe has been killed.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
On Sunday, 26 July, 7:02 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk unites us all in the iconic Joburg CBD.
7:02
Walk the Talk. Abize bonke. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
7:02
Live
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
It's 5 minutes past 10. Welcome back. This is the Clement Manyathela Show. My name is Clement Manyathela. Thank you so much for a heated open line. Thank you for your calls and your WhatsApps. I know we couldn't take all of them, but I really appreciate the engagement and I appreciate your views. You know, I love it when people share very thought-through thoughts, right? When they come to conversations and you can see that their views are thought through. We're not always going to agree, but I do think that it's great when it's respectful and it's thought through and it's logical, and I really appreciate when that happens, you know. So thank you so much for those views. I do see someone here saying, morning KG, I personally feel like you're in support of the undocumented immigrants. Never, no. I'm not in support of any illegal actions or activities. I just don't, and I'm echoing the sentiments from Ray White, I don't think that we should become the criminals because we're trying to fight criminality. And I do believe that if we are holding the right people accountable, That's the best step, really. Let's hold the right people accountable. The lawmakers, our government, those are the people that we should hold accountable and ask the difficult questions to. And I do believe that we can overcome even this immigration crisis that we are experiencing. Thank you so much. All right, in the next hour, it is the second hour of the show, and we continue with this theme. We're going to be speaking to Nhlanhla Mabaso, EWN reporter who's out in Durban. He's been covering these demonstrations against the illegal immigrants. Well, there's been protests against illegal immigrants, and there's also been a hit back from the immigrants that are there who are saying, they now feel unsafe where they live because of the demonstrations that have been happening. So Nhlanhla Mabaso will be with us. We're also going to speak to Eric Jean Butoki, who's from the Southern Africa Refugee Organizations Forum. He'll be speaking to us about the demonstrations by the illegal foreigners. Jacinta Ngobese Zuma also is going to join us, and she's from March, and she'll be weighing in on the conversation. So it's a packed conversation, and it's only for 30 minutes. And then in the next half hour, we're going to be speaking to Seri. This is on the demonstration, the legal battle that's happening in the Johannesburg High Court, where the owners of the Marble Towers building are challenging, and they've basically taken the city of Johannesburg to court over the cleaning up that's been happening, over the operation that they've had there, moving all those illegal structures around the small street area and around the Marble Towers and in the Marble Towers building as well. So I'm looking forward to that conversation as well. Please join us and dial in. The number to dial is 011 883 0702 072 702 1702.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
So I don't know if you saw the scenes from Durban yesterday, where we were seeing the immigrants from a number of areas in Durban marching. They were demonstrating and marching to a local refugee center where they've been camping overnight. Nhlanhla Mabaso is the EWN reporter who's been keeping a close eye on that story. He is EWN's KZN correspondent, and he joins us now on the line. Nhlanhla, good morning. Thank you so much for your time.
Omoto, thank you so much for having me. Good morning to you too.
So what's been happening then? The scenes that I saw yesterday did not look good at all. It was very tense from what I saw, and at times I think police had to intervene. What's been going on the ground?
Well, at the time, Omoto, police had no choice but to do what they did, and that's according to the police provincial spokesperson, Colonel Chiwunda, who says these group of foreign nationals arrived at the police station on Monday saying they are not safe from where they come from, some of them from outside the CBD. They basically went to the police station saying they've been threatened, allegedly by members of March and March, saying that they now seek protection of the police. They want to sleep at the police station. I understand alternatives were made for them to be moved to Hoy Park, which is not far from the Durban Central Police Station, but we are then told they had returned to the police station yesterday morning. As you saw, they held a picket outside the station, which then disrupted how both the magistrate court and the Durban Central, because their gates are almost linked. People would turn back thinking that there's something wrong at the police station. Indeed, police have confirmed that this has also affected police work. Police officers were supposed to come and submit evidence at SAPS 13. They couldn't because they saw these large crowds, and then this led to the deployment of the public order police, which then opened those stun grenades, tear gas to disperse them. They had to walk for about almost 4 kilometers to this Dagonia refugee center and were escorted by police officers to camp here in Khomoso. A meeting was had, municipal officials and the leaders of this particular protest, and then a decision was reached that they must then disperse and go home. But they said they will be camping here and they will spend the night here, and that they will continue to camp here until their cries are heard. Till now, I'm standing in what seems to be a growing crowd now. From what we saw last night, they actually are indeed growing. Some are now joining, they're queuing here, some are eating, but they say that until their demands are met, that is to be protected by police officers. They would not be going anywhere, they say.
And you're saying, are they camping at the police station or at the refugee center?
They are at the refugee center, Dagonia to be exact, in the Durban CBD. That's exactly 4 kilometers away from the Durban Central Police Station. But what I've noticed in a change of things, like I've mentioned, the crowd is growing.
The police officers that were deployed here, a number of public order police officers, more than 30 if I may, are no longer here. Just one policeman from Durban Central just arrived now with a colonel just taking pictures. I must mention here, Komoto, they are rather peaceful, not singing, not chanting, not burning anything, but camping here. They say they will not be going on until they get response. They say whether from SABS or the UN, but they are saying that they are not safe. They say, in fact, 4 of their members were stabbed. They say they've been threatened, beaten up, and they are saying while the shutdown, 30th shutdown by March and March is looming, they say they feel very, very unsafe because of that. But we spoke to March and March yesterday, Jacinta Ngobese Zuma, the leader, saying, well, some of these allegations that have been made are not true. But she also made a point that she thinks this is just disrespect to the government, saying that some of these things these people are doing, they don't do from where they come from. She was basically raising also a concern about them wanting to forcefully stay at a police station. But we'll be here, Homoso, and of course monitoring these developments. But we do believe that there's another march by March and March members in Pinetown, which has nothing to do with this particular one. But the religious leaders who are leading this, they say, Homoso, they will camp here days on end until they are responded to.
All right, and Sanjaba Baso, Durban reporter out in KZN, thank you so much for that. He's monitoring what's happening there in the Durban CBD. Let's go to Eric Jean Budoki. He's the chairperson of the Southern Africa Refugee Organizations Forum, and he joins us now on the line. Eric, thank you so much for your time. Are you out there in the Durban CBD as well?
Yes, please.
And what exactly is going on there? You know, we just heard from our reporter. I think the one question that I have is, the group of people that is demonstrating and camping there, are they all refugees? Are they all asylum seekers? Who is there?
The people who are here is refugees and asylum seekers only. We are not having anyone else who is out of that category.
And so they are documented?
100%.
And what are some of the issues that they're raising there?
The issue they are raising is unsafety in the community they live and unsafety in their working place. There have been multiple attacks. It's been months now where they march and their associates, they've been attacking people left and right. And some of the people, they were poked by knife, and there is no intervention from the police. And if the people want to open criminal cases, they don't open the cases. If the people want to be protected against their perpetrators, they don't get any support from the police. So that is it makes their life hard. And to finalize on that aspect, on the 14th, 15 people were stabbed by knife in different areas of Durban on those who are working on the street. So it instituted a general fear among the community of refugee and asylum seekers. That's why they opt to come together and sought for safety from the state.
And I mean, I know that you're also outside the police station, but also outside a refugee center. Ultimately, what do you want to see happen? Do you want a recommitment from the police? What do you want to see happen?
Let me give you clarity on that. We were brought by the police but outside of, it's not even the refugee center, it's a Diakon building. It's a Diakon building where the police, they brought us. We went to sort, we know that the protection should be guaranteed to us by the police. Then the police, after attacking us unprovoked, they are the one who said after we should leave their police station, and they escorted us up until we reached to this point. And when we got to this point, they told us to leave here, and they are still here. So that's why we are here. We are brought by the police, but we did not come like we want assistance from both sides.
Yeah, so, but what I'm asking is, what's it going to take for you to leave there and go back to where you were living, where your homes? What do you need from the police?
We will leave here to go to a place of safety. Whatever shelter they can provide for people, where they know they will guarantee their safety, it's when we will live here. But people are ready to sleep or to sleep on the street if there's no safety guarantee to them.
And does that mean you don't want to go back to where you've been living? The communities that you've been in?
The majority, they are not ready to go back on where they were living because they feel unsafe there.
And are you going to be handing a memorandum to someone? What's the plan?
The plan, I think we may hand the memorandum to someone, but that's the thing we can think of. But at the moment, we want stakeholders who are in charge of our safety to come on board and provide that safety people want. That's the only thing we want.
All right, Eric Jean Butoki, he's the chairperson of the Southern African Refugee Organizations Forum, insisting that they will camp there. I think it's tricky because it's difficult. I mean, so they want to be taken to shelter, somewhere safe. And also their concern is that when they do approach the police about unlawful acts and crimes, they say that the police do not take them seriously because they are foreign nationals. We're going to be speaking to Jacinta Ngobese Zuma from March and March in just a bit about what's going on there as well.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours and you will get double accident cover with a clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. It's easy to apply. No medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Gauteng is currently experiencing high water consumption. To avoid water interruptions, residents are urged to use water sparingly to allow equitable supply. Act now. Save water. Every drop counts. This message is brought to you by the Department of Water and Sanitation, Rand Water, Gauteng Provincial Government, City of Johannesburg, City of Tshwane, and City of Ekurhuleni.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
If you're CEO or CFO looking to grow across Africa, then the next 60 seconds are for you. Because in that short time, one bank in Africa will process over 300 million rand. That's 430 billion rand every day. Right now, we have 17.7 trillion rand of the continent's assets under custody management, making us far and away the largest bank by assets in Africa, which is why in 2025, we were voted Best Bank for Corporates in Africa at the Euro Money Awards for Excellence. So, if you're looking for a bank with scale, we're easy to find. We are in 21 key markets across Africa, and we've been on the continent for 163 years, so we are not going anywhere. Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
It's 20 minutes past 10, and we continue with our conversation on what's been happening, the tensions in Durban. Joining me now is Jacinta Ngobese Zuma from March and March. Jacinta, thank you so much for your time. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Maybe I just want to start with what's been said by the demonstrators. So this is the asylum seekers as well as the refugees that are there protesting. They are saying that ever since March and March started having their marches and having their demonstrations, their safety has been compromised and they've been experiencing crimes from people. Some of them have been stabbed, and they are attributing this to March and March's demonstrations in the Durban area. What's your response to this?
Look, I think there's two issues there. First of all, we need to determine the people who claim that they're refugees and asylum seekers who are claiming that they're being abused in the country, because we know all of them through the and asylum seekers in the position of being victims. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. So I'm saying that the second part of that is that these people were at the police station for 2 days now. Today is going to be the third day. And on these days, we still are waiting for the police. We inquired about the cases that they claim they have opened against us, and we are yet to hear anything, because I believe that the whole purpose of their being a police station is that if you feel victimized in any way, you open a case. You don't go and live outside the police station to get your point across. And we're saying that if you're going to allege something so big that people are assaulting you, I mean, we've been around for a whole year, and it's the first time we're hearing that there's people who are opening cases against us because we're assaulting them. So we're waiting for them to open those cases, and we'll wait for the police to take it from there.
Jacinta, I know that as an organization, you say that you're acting against illegal immigrants and not necessarily all immigrants. But it doesn't seem that sentiment and that view is landing on the ground to some of your supporters and some of the people who agree with your plight. They, it seems, are targeting all immigrants and not caring whether or not they're documented.
Look, I think we need to be careful as well in the language that we use when we say people are being targeted. What exactly does target mean? Because for as far as I know, as much and much, we've never had an operation where there were no police present, or Home Affairs sometimes here and there when they are available to attend to us. And I don't believe that when that happens, they're being targeted. Yet every single time they go on television interviews, they claim that Much and Much is targeting them. And I'm not sure what targeting means if the police are there and present and they're there to enforce the laws of the country. I've noted the word targeted being used several times, but I'm not sure exactly what targeted means in this instance. Are you saying to me that when people are demanding for our government to enforce our immigration laws, that is targeting certain people? And I don't think there's anyone who's an immigrant in this country who should even have a problem with their documents being verified, because we all know the laws of being a foreigner in a country mean that you have to carry your documents around, and even if they ask you 50 times to produce those documents, I mean, we travel all the time, even when we go to the toilet, to carry your documents, because you know you're in a foreign land and you will be required to prove why you're there. Are your documents still valid, etc., etc. That's a normal way of doing things. So I don't understand this thing of people calling or saying that people are being targeted. Or maybe you can explain to me what exactly targeted means.
You know, are you not concerned, Jacinta, that the distinction is not being drawn? So what's happening on the ground, and this is according to the demonstrators there, right? What's happening on the ground is that all of them are experiencing targeting. And what I mean by targeting is the locals in that area will come for them because they are illegal immigrants, because they know that, or not illegal immigrants, because they are immigrants, they are not South African nationals, and they know that they will have a difficult time when they go to the police station and report these crimes. And that's what they mean by being targeted, that people know in those areas that I'm a foreigner, and because of that, they will come for me, there will be crimes against me. Some of them say they've been stabbed, and they know that when I go to the police, I won't get help because I'm a foreign national.
I think as journalists, you guys actually worry about the wrong things. You're more worried about how foreigners feel or perceive their feelings to be received more than South Africans. Is it fair for South Africans that they don't know different parts of the world?
Oh, move around there. I really want to hear you. I want to hear you. You know, I want to hear you properly, Jacinta, but the line is not great. Go again.
So I'm saying journalists, I feel like you guys.
Oh, Jacinta. Okay, let's just try. Let's try. So I'm going to try. So we just try move around. There, we're going to try get Jacinta, if we can't, on a better line, so that she can finish her conversation. Okay, I think we have her, so that she can continue with what she's been saying. Okay, it seems that line is not doing great. Let's take some voice notes, and we'll come back with Jacinta.
Hi, 702. Good morning, Nomonde from Brakpan. Number one, I don't understand why those refugees are there. Their first call should be their embassies. They go to their embassies. If they are refugees or asylum seekers, there's a new law that they cannot keep on applying. Maybe some of them need to go. So why they go to the police station and make crazy demands, which they were unable to make from their own countries? It's crazy. But it just shows you what a banana republic we are, because they're unable to do the nonsense they're doing here. They're not able to do it in their own countries. I wish the police can deal with them accordingly. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you so much for that voice note. I think we've got Jacinta back on a better line. Can you hear us now?
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Yes, please go ahead.
So I was saying that as journalists, I really feel like you guys are worried about the wrong people here. It's us as South Africans who should be getting this amount of care of how we are surviving with people that we don't know who they are, that are walking around randomly in our country, taking over buildings, selling drugs, committing all kinds of crimes and not being able to be traced. Why is it more important that people who invaded this country, came in without documents, are safe and comfortable? What about our safety and comfort? Isn't that the entire immigration issue should be? And I to kindly ask
Jacinta, look, your line is not too good, and I really want us to hear you here. But I also think that March and March seems to be coming for, you don't like the word targeting, but I'm going to use the term targeting, the defenseless illegal or the defenseless immigrants. And, of course, we'll get it wrong from time to time. The defenseless immigrants that are there, the people that are there are saying they are asylum seekers, and you're insinuating that they are not. The police are there to check their documentation, and they are willing to show them the documentation that they are asylum seekers, they are refugees there, and they need help from the police. They need to feel protected by the police. And I don't think it's fair for you to say that those people are putting South Africans at risk, that those people were worried about the wrong people. If those people are here legally, as they say they are, then they should be provided the same care, the same support, the same protection by the police.
You see, it's the fact that I'm talking to you and you're also making assumptions and you want me to answer based on your assumptions. You have no factual evidence that backs up the fact that these people are refugees, asylum seekers, unless you do.
They are camping outside the police station, Jacinta.
No, do you have proof that these are refugees and asylum seekers is my question.
What I'm saying to you is that the demonstrators...
So if you do not have proof that these people are actual asylum seekers and refugees, you cannot automatically assume the position of them being victims, which is why as March and March, we have called on Home Affairs to go and verify the status of the people outside the police station breaking the laws of the country.
Oh, but you are making an assumption.
People. Can I finish what I'm saying?
But you are making an assumption saying breaking the laws.
Based on what?
You're saying breaking the laws.
Breaking the laws. They are. Listen to what I'm saying. The police station is a place where you open a case. There are people who could not open cases yesterday who are rape victims, who are victims of crime because these people were camping outside.
Are you willing to listen to what I'm saying, Jacinta? I'm saying to you that you are assuming that the people that are camping there are breaking the laws. And what I'm saying
they are breaking the laws. Why are you saying they're not? I'm explaining to you exactly why they're breaking the law, because you're not supposed to go camp outside a police station. A police station is for people who also want to open cases, and the police insisted that they leave the premises and find somewhere else to find a place to stay. And I'm saying to you, you do not automatically paint someone as a victim just because you think that they are. So I'm saying to you, you and I have to both wait until Home Affairs verifies the status of these people before you automatically label them as refugees and asylum seekers. I think this is a clear thing that I'm asking. Because right now, you're asking me to answer questions based on your assumptions, which I'm not going to do.
Jacinta Ngobese Zuma, thank you so much for your time. I really do wish that we can continue having this conversation. Look, you know what I'm saying here is that we spoke to the leaders of the people that are camping there. And they are saying to us, they are claiming, and I hear Jacinta, she says we don't have proof that these people are asylum seekers and refugees. 100%, I'll give that to her. But they are claiming to be asylum seekers, they are claiming to be refugees, and they are willing to demonstrate, right, and to show that documentation to the police. I think it's great that March and March has sent out Home Affairs officials there to say, go and check these people, whether they are asylum seekers, whether they are refugees. I think that's great, and that's a great step to take. But I don't think that we should be disregarding the plight of people who are saying, I am here in the country legally, and I would just like to be granted support and protection by the police here and not be treated the way that I have been. That's all I'm saying. But I hear Jacinta Ngobese Zuma, and I think let's wait to see Home Affairs verify who the people that are there are and what their status and their refugee status is there. It's an ongoing conversation that we'll continue to have. It's just after 10:30. Sfiso Zulu standing by with the headlines.
Thanks, Khomotso. Good morning. Police are coming through the scene where Northwest anti-crime activist Tato Mulusankwe was murdered. Officers say he was shot at his house in Mahikeng during the early hours of this morning. Mulusankwe has been described as a community-minded individual who worked closely with law enforcement officials in the fight against crime and corruption. The Beaufort West Magistrates Court has sentenced a 17-year-old boy for the murder of a police officer. The teen will serve 4 years at a youth detention centre, followed by 4 years of direct imprisonment. His co-accused, 22-year-old Siamtanda Mafata, was granted a 12-month sentence suspended for 3 years for defeating the ends of justice. And Russia and China have not reached an agreement on the new billion dollar Power of Siberia 2 gas pipeline. During talks between President Vladimir Putin and his counterpart Xi Jinping, Moscow is increasingly economically reliant on China since it invaded Ukraine in 2022. Vladimir Putin pushed for the pipeline for years, but progress has been slow amid hesitation in Beijing. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov has told Russian media that while the two sides reached a basic understanding, including on the routes and how it will be built, there is no clear timeline and there are still some details to be worked out. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
In Pretoria and Waterkloof Ridge, there's a vehicle on fire on the N1 North just before Gasfontein Road, and it is causing heavy delays from the Flying Saucer interchange. So please drive carefully as you head into that stretch. Look out for faulty traffic lights in Rosebank at Oxford and Bompas, in Rand Park Ridge at the N1 North and Beyers Naudé, as well as in Randburg at the N1 South and Malibongwe. In the capital city, traffic lights are also out in Claremont at Van der Hoof and Bremer Street, in Hohenkloof at the N14 and Eufus Road, as well as in Monument Park at the R21 and Solomon Mahlangu Drive. If you come across any other traffic, please do send us a tweet on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
The Midday Report at its heart is a current affairs show, but it really is a show about everything you need to know about and everything you didn't know you needed to know about. Our listener is sharp, plugged in, curious, has developed opinions, but is still open to learning new things. My favorite part is how witty, sharp, and funny our listener is. What we cover every day is breaking news, current affairs, politics, the courts, global developments, science, education, popular culture, sports, books, and of course, good things too. I like to think of it as a lunchbox with a little bit of everything. What I love about 702 Land is that it is full of energy. There's always something happening, a developing story to follow. But it's not parochial. The 702 family cares about what is happening in the world around them and how we plug into that.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener. Weekdays from 12 to 1 p.m.
If your bank was becoming too expensive, you'd switch, right? So why pay more for car insurance? Switching to Outsurance saved 32-year-old Parushka a whopping 729 Rand on her 2020 Haval H2. Get a quote now, and if Outsurance can't save you money, ask for 500 Rand or 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free. And with the same insurer for 3 years. Do it now. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
The world's best male and female paddle players are coming to South Africa. The historic Premier Paddle Pretoria P1 will be at Sunbet Arena Times Square from 26 July to the 2nd of August. Expect world-class action, unbelievable energy, premium hospitality, and an atmosphere unlike anything South African sport has seen before. This is Africa's biggest paddle tournament ever, and tickets are selling fast. Don't miss your chance to witness the sport's biggest stars in South Africa. Get your tickets now at primemediaplus.com.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire.
From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety and service, Warrior Paints is street ahead. Warrior Paints, affordable, lasting, luxury.
For more about 702,
go to primemediaplus.com.
It's 23 minutes to 11 right here on 702. It's the Clement Manyathela Show. My name is Komuzo Mudise. Thank you so much for tuning in. We just had a conversation with Jacinta Ngobese-Zuma from March and March. And unfortunately, we ran out of time. I would have loved for us to continue with the conversation around what's happening there in Durban. It's definitely a chat that we should continue having regularly, really, because it is an ongoing story. It keeps playing out. And the escalations that we're seeing in Durban, I think we're likely to see in other parts of the country as well, particularly because of the tensions that we have in our communities, whether it's with the spaza shop owners, we see it all the time, whether it's with the hawkers. You know, people have, it's tense. It's a tense environment currently. And so these escalations are likely to continue happening. Something that Jacinta said that I actually agree with is her saying Home Affairs must go and check documents. I agree with that 100%. I think they definitely should. The difference between her and I is that she's assuming that the people that are camped there are illegally in the country. And I don't assume that. I do think that Home Affairs must go and check. I don't think a person who's here in the country illegally and knows that they're here illegally will want to subject themselves to being around law enforcement that could potentially find out that they are here illegally. That's my reasoning. I don't think if you're here illegally, you would want to stay there when we know that Home Affairs is coming to check your documents. That's my view. But hey, let's see how things play out there. Ntantama Baso is the EWN reporter who's keeping a close eye on that story. Now, another story that seems to be almost in the same theme because of what we saw yesterday. Now, the city of Joburg is doing work, and this is Joburg Mayor Dara Morero. They are doing work in the Joburg city center. And it feels so good to see the city center so clean after a long time. I'm a person who's lived in Joburg all my life, and I used to travel through the CBD as a child. I always tell the story of how, as a little child, I was those children who would get onto a taxi from Soweto and travel through the CBD to go to school in the east. And watching the CBD deteriorate has broken my heart over the years. And so what's been happening in the city center, watching it being cleaned up, Small Street area looking so good and clean, and marble towers now, they're coming for that. It has looked really good. And for me, I've loved and enjoyed seeing that. However, there is a legal battle that's now going on around that. And it's the legal battle between the owners of marble towers and the city of Johannesburg. They've taken the city to the High Court to challenge the operations that they've been having of clearing up that area, particularly around marble towers and in the building. It seems to be that there are illegal structures in the building. And the mayor, Dara Morero, has come for that. He wants to clean that up as well. But Marble Towers has gone to court to stop this, right? And today we are expecting judgment in this case as well. So it's been playing out. Now, SERI, the Socio-Economic Rights Institute of South Africa, they've been weighing in on this. They are not litigants in the matter. However, they have expressed views about how the city of Joburg and the leadership, Dara Morero, the mayor, has gone about cleaning that area and moving hawkers there. So for that conversation, we've got Nomzamo Zondo, who is the executive director at SERI. Nomzamo, thank you so much for your time.
Good morning, Khumuzo. Thank you for having me.
So SERI has expressed a view on this, Nomzamo, about the lawfulness of the actions that have been taken by the mayor, Dara Morero. And you're saying that the mayor has been acting unlawfully during the recent operations?
Yes, Khumuzo. So what we've been hearing on the media is that the mayor, the MMCs, the law enforcement officials are there to enforce bylaws. In our understanding, they are there to enforce the municipal planning bylaw, which is actually a 2016 bylaw, which is quite clear on what happens if there's non-compliance. So their complaint, at least in relation to marble towers, is that the property owner has built or has allowed structures to be built without getting planning permissions for those structures. Now, the bylaw, interestingly, is quite clear to say, yes, it's unlawful to build structures without getting planning permission from the city. It's in effect an offense, but then it tells you what happens if you are in that situation. Firstly, the city must direct in writing that this person must remove those structures, must give them a period where they must then remedy the situation. If they fail to remedy the situation, the designated law enforcement officials are authorized in terms of the very same bylaw to then apply to court to get an order to demolish those structures. Now, so when the mayor says he's there to enforce the bylaw, the question is, which bylaw is he enforcing? Is he enforcing that one, which in fact has a section 63 of that bylaw says law enforcement and speaks clearly about, for instance, who is the person who's entitled to come into the property to check if there's been compliance with the bylaw, what that person is expected to do. And unfortunately, in listening to all of the media from last week, Monday, we haven't seen anything about the mention of compliance with the provisions of this bylaw.
One thing that the mayor has been pointing out is that around that small street area where they've been breaking down those illegal structures that have been erected there over the years, there's no clear indication as to who those structures belong to. We know that they've been paying rent, but we don't know who they've been paying rent to. So how would the city be able to approach something like that where there is no clear owner? Because that's what's been happening around the CBD there, where they find these stalls, they're illegally erected stalls. Who would they write to for something like that?
So, for instance, in relation to Small Street, we saw that there's buildings. So the structures are taking onto buildings. So they are property owners. As a lawyer, I can tell you it's very easy for me to find out who's the owner of any property, but I can tell you that as a city official, the city even has a system that's accessible to citizens, where you can find out who's the owner of each building. So it's not a hard thing for them to do. And the reason why, for instance, now we are talking about Marble Towers, where it's the property owner who's litigating against the city, because he's the person whose property they've come into. And that's at least you should be happy to say, one, there's a notice that was sent to someone. That notice was clear to say there's an infringement in relation to this and this constructed structure. We are giving you 2 months, 1 month, 7 days to remedy it. And when they didn't remedy within 7 days, then they could have gone to court against that person who's the owner of that building for that.
Well, maybe so that we don't conflate the issues, what is Seri's view of in the area, so not necessarily in Marble Towers, but what's been happening around that area? So it's the Marble Towers area, it's the Small Street area, and I think it also goes all the way to the MTN taxi rank area. What does Seri suggest the approach should be there?
So at the MMC, one of the MMC Zungu spoke last week in newsroom, and he explained that the removals of informal traders from De Villiers Street and surrounding areas, so the area that you refer to as the MTN taxi rank, was actually the beginning of this very same process. Now, the interesting thing is that in the removal of the informal traders from De Villiers Street, those informal traders have permits from the city to trade there. They've been designated to be there by the city. In fact, in 2020, during COVID, there was a court case where the property owner saying, no, but these people are licensed by us to trade here. And so the removal of those informal traders who are lawfully there, right, was done unlawfully using force, using the police. So many of the people who do work in the CBD, like myself, maybe you, know that ever since last year, there's a Nyala that's permanently stationed at De Villiers Street. And that Nyala is there to make sure that the informal traders who are licensed to trade there can't. But of course, there's two words that are thrown at us. There's the word illegal, unlawful, and then there's the word clean. And the moment people hear unlawful, illegal, and clean, they close their ears to anything else. They don't want to understand what the process is. They don't want to understand who has rights, who doesn't have rights. They don't want to understand actually what is the correct framework. Because as we were speaking earlier, I spoke about Marble Towers and the framework for Marble Towers, which is a building that's even got a fence, right? They've come into a fence of the city of Johannesburg. But in relation again to informal trade, there's a national legislation being the Businesses Act, which tells the city what it must do if it wants to deproclaim an area where trading is already allowed. And the city has not followed that process. But one morning, tens, close to hundreds of officers with politicians went in and said, you're not going to try trade here anymore. And the reason, as Seri, we've been consistent in speaking up is that if the mayor of Johannesburg can act on his whim in relation to informal traders, in relation to small businesses in small street. What stops him from acting on a whim in relation to us, in relation to anybody else? The only reason he's a mayor, he's empowered as a mayor to use the laws that govern him. So the bylaw, for instance, that I was referring to earlier, is a bylaw of the city of Johannesburg. If, as the mayor, he feels that bylaw has shortcomings, his remedy as the mayor is to start a process to bring about a new law of how do you regulate people who construct shelters without planning permissions. It's not for him to bring in what is in effect our power, our law enforcement, to then go do things that are unlawful.
So the city has a problem, Nomzamo, of hawkers and informal traders that come back to places where they've been told not to trade. So these are areas that are not for trading on the pavements in certain parts of the CBD as well. And what will happen is, like we saw with the operation this week, they will be moved from there, but they will just resurface and come back. How then can the city approach that lawfully?
So as I've explained, in effect, the city's informal trading bylaw and informal trading policy is quite clear on what the city must do to enforce bylaws where people trade in places that are not allowed for trading. So they are allowed to confiscate. They are supposed to go on site and request proof that people have permits, have smart cards to trade there. But what is surprising, Khomotso, in every area where there is no proclamation, meaning every area where it is actually unlawful to trade, people are trading, and no one is enforcing there. But in all the areas that are proclaimed, and I'm telling you this, having litigated on behalf of the South African informal traders in 2013. In 2013, those 24 blocks were proclaimed. Even now, the blocks that are closed off, the De Villiers Street that you are celebrating along maybe with other people, those traders are licensed. They were licensed already in 2013, 13 years ago. Even now, the city accepts that they are licensed. But we hear the narrative of unlawful. But in effect, what the narrative is traders who are unwanted. And I want to ask you then, if the traders are unwanted, shouldn't then the city follow a process, one that will allow a public consultation, where we, as people who live in the city, where informal traders can speak, where property owners can speak, or should they be allowed to simply march on with guns and remove people?
We're speaking to Nomzamo Zondo from SERI. She's the executive director, talking us through what's been happening in the Johannesburg CBD, where the city has been having this operation of removing certain hawkers around there and illegal traders in parts of the city. It's also on the back of the legal battle that's happening in the Johannesburg High Court, where the owners of the Marble Towers building have taken the city to court. We continue with the conversation after this.
You can become a victim of a legal problem: wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental dispute, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
When tax issues get complex, you need more than general advice. You need specialist insight. AJM turns intricate tax challenges into clear strategic solutions. From disputes and litigation to long-term planning, our expertise protects what matters to you and your business. With teams in Cape Town, Johannesburg, and Namibia, we deliver the rigorous analysis high-stakes decisions demand. AJM. Complex tax matters simply resolved.
The beeping machines, the hospital smells, the moments of fear. And all that remains is what matters most.
Dad's home!
Because recovery isn't about the procedure or the paperwork. It's about getting back to the people and places that matter to you. Bonitas, medical aid for South Africa. Voted #1 medical aid in the Ask Africa Orange Index Awards for the 2nd year running. Visit bonitas.co.za and find your plan.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
It's 9 minutes before 11. Welcome back to the Clement Manyathela Show with me, Khomatso Modise. We're speaking about the operation that the city of Joburg has been having in the CBD, but also the legal battle that's playing out in the Johannesburg High Court. It's brought by Marble Towers, and they've taken the city of Joburg to court. Let's take some of your voice notes.
The lady that you are speaking to from Seri, right, she's not telling the truth. A lot of informal traders, especially on De Villiers, they are not there illegally. I mean, people, they struggle to walk freely on the pavement, because if you look at these people, they are basically closing all the walkways that we have in our CBD. So she's not telling the truth, particularly about the De Villiers. I've stayed in that area for over 10 years, so I know exactly what is happening. There will be an open street, and then all of a sudden, there's these people who are then selling there, which is totally wrong. So she's not telling the truth. Simon Boxberg.
So these people are doing something wrong illegally in a building. Now the city has a burden of writing letters. Now, while they are writing those letters, if something happens there and they burn, those people die, who's going to be blamed? Why don't they arrest the very same owner who allowed these illegal things to happen in that building? Let them arrest them. Instead of them going to court, they must be arrested and say, okay, because you are defending this in court, that means you did allow this. It's a pala matter, this thing. It's like a pala matter. You are bringing dollars in illegally, so, but people who are arrested are those who stole it. You need to arrest that person. You know these laws of South Africa, man, they are damaging us. You do something illegal. For me to remove you, I have to write a letter. Eh? Aye, man. Aye, sis, man.
Yeah, I think that's the frustration there, Nomzamo, that most have. You know, the fact that what's been happening there in Marble Towers, and I understand it's a private property, right? It's a private building, privately owned building. But I think that the sentiment that's being shared is that there seems to be illegal activities happening around there, and now the law requires us, or requires the city, to take legal steps first. That's what you're saying, right? Before it approaches what's happening at Marble Towers.
Yes, and the important thing, Khomatso, is that the law is written by politicians that are elected by us, the law nationally, the law locally in the city of Johannesburg. So if, for instance, we decide we agree that the law enforcement can do as they please, we can change the law. The city council can decide that this planning bylaw of 2016 doesn't work for 2026. They shift and they use a different thing. The problem that I have is the fact that we're now then saying anyone can do anything they want in a country that's meant to be governed by the rule of law, in a country that insists on equal protection by the law. And then people are out here. I mean, the mayor of Johannesburg is a mayor of the biggest metropole in the country, probably also the most important. He's in an area that's recognized even in the continent. And we are here saying he shouldn't be acting within frameworks. It should be okay for him to wake up one morning and march a certain way because it's the mayor. I'm not comfortable with that, Khomatso. It might be that some of the listeners are, but unfortunately, maybe for me, the fact that the constitution of this country still stands. Fortunately for me, the bylaws that I'm referring to still stand. Fortunately for me, there's even provincial legislation which still stands, which at least then we can go to court and say, you cannot act in this way. We cannot allow capricious actions that are done at the people's whim today just because we don't like who's on the other side of it, or today because it suits us. We must be principled every day, regardless of who it is, and we must insist that our laws must be abided with. Unless then we are not scared. I mean, I am personally scared of our country coming up in flames. I'm personally scared of our country being in chaos. And that's why I believe that we should abide by all these frameworks that have been put in place by people that we have elected.
I want to take a quick call. Bradley, you're in Meyerton, and you want to weigh in on Marble Towers. Good morning.
Morning, how are you?
I'm very well,
Khomatso.
thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
I just agree with the lawyer that you are interviewing there. She's 100% correct because there's something that we call unlawful, and there's something that we call illegal. Because now that Marble Towers, I know the owner. It's a secured premise, and whatever they did there by putting structures in a secured building doesn't interfere with any bylaws that are within the premises around there. Like encroachment, you see, encroachment in Small Street, I agree. They have to demolish everything there. Then they leave the buildings on to stand. Because those people are pushing in and people then there's anywhere to walk on and stuff and things like that. We agree with that. But when they move into private buildings, they must be lawful. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Because
Friendly in Merton, unfortunately, that's all I have time for. But thank you for that, for making that point. Nomzamo, I suppose the question now is the judgment that will be made today in the High Court. Will this inform the way forward in a case like this? Would it be precedent setting?
This is the problem, right? The bylaw is precedent setting. The bylaw is what guides. The judgment is simply going to tell the municipality and the property owner where their rights start and where their rights end. So possibly, I guess it helps the conversation, but the law has always been clear, and that's what we expect. And then just one last thing, the De Villiers issue. The De Villiers Street is a linear market, right? Which means it's actually a place that's meant for trading. The reason why there's confusion now in relation to De Villiers Street is because Shell House, which is the old ANC headquarters, was revamped and became accommodation. And then they had to put a road so that the people in the building could come in and come out. But that was done without ever changing the position of De Villiers as a linear market. And maybe because I'm using terminology, people who know Kirk Street, where there's a big market full of buy fruits, that linear market is actually it's meant to be a place for walking. There's not meant to be any cars on De Villiers Street. Yeah. It is currently proclaimed as a linear market.
All right, Nomzamo Zondo, that's all we have time for. She's the Executive Director of SERI, the Socio-Economic Rights Institute of South Africa.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your Clientele Legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
It's happening. Our own private workspace. Fully furnished, full access. Printer works. Wi-Fi works. Co-working works. It all just works. WeWork.co.za. Made for work, built for business.
702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk is calling on you to walk with the people for the people on Sunday, the 26th of July. Babize Bonke. And this year you can choose from 3 different inner city routes. The 8-kilometer 44 Main Street route takes you from Ellis Park through Maboneng and Jewel City, past the Field of Dreams and Maharishi Invisibility Institute. You can then go through Main Street Precinct, Gandhi Square, and past the Carlton Center, finishing off at Ellis Park. So whether you're taking on the 8-kilometer, 5-kilometer, or 15-kilometer, enter now on primemediaplus.com and get ready for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. The effects of the unrest in the Middle East continue to show, with South Africa's inflation increasing to 4%. Statistics South Africa says the reading from April has been driven by sharp fuel increases. Energy markets have been on a wild ride after Iran closed the key Strait of Hormuz waterway in retaliation for U.S. and Israeli strikes. Around a fifth of the world's oil and liquefied natural gas usually passes through the narrow shipping route. SSA's Patrick Kelly says this is an increase from 3.1% in March.
This is the highest inflation print since August 2024, when the headline rate was 4.4%. The monthly increase in the CPI was 1.1%. Consumers were dealt a painful fuel price blow in April. The index for fuel rose by 18.2% from March, the steepest monthly increase since the current CPI series began in 2008.
Police are combing through the scene where Northwest anti-crime activist Thado Molusankwe was murdered. Officers say he was shot at his house in Mahikeng during the early hours of this morning. Molusankwe has been described as a community-minded figure who worked closely with law enforcement officials in the fight against crime and corruption. Acting National Police Commissioner Puleng Dimpani has ordered that maximum resources be deployed to track down the attackers. Police spokesperson Athlenda Mate.
Lieutenant General Dimpani has strongly condemned the brutal murder and assured the community that no stone will be left unturned until those responsible are found and brought to book.
The Beaufort West Magistrates Court has sentenced a 17-year-old boy for the murder of a police officer. The teen will serve 4 years at a youth detention centre, followed by 4 years of direct imprisonment. His co-accused, 22-year-old Siamthanda Mafata, was granted a 12-month sentence suspended for 3 years for defeating the ends of justice. The pair allegedly stabbed Constable Cortlin Lakay at a popular night spot in the Karoo in August last year. Hawks' spokesperson Zinziani.
Members responded to an incident at a place of entertainment at Gaba Road, Kwamandla Nkosi in Beaufort West, where upon arrival they found the body of the deceased officer with a stab wound on his back. The accused fled the scene on foot and Constable Lakay was declared dead on the scene.
And Russia and China have not reached a deal or an agreement on the new multi-billion-dollar Power of Siberia 2 gas pipeline during talks between President Vladimir Putin and his counterpart Xi Jinping. Moscow is increasingly economically reliant on China since invading Ukraine in 2022 and has pushed for the pipeline for years, but progress has been slow amid hesitation in Beijing. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov told Russian media that while the two sides reached a basic understanding, including on the routes and how it will be built, there is no clear timeline and there are still some details to be worked out. The pipeline would carry 50 billion cubic meters a year of gas and, crucially for Russia, the supplies would come from fields that used to serve Europe to where exports have plunged since the war. Gold is trading at $4,487.63 an ounce. The rand is at 16.64 to the dollar, 22.27 to the pound, 19.29 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $110 exactly a barrel.
In the traffic in Waterkloof, the vehicle that was on fire on the N1 North has been cleared just before Gasfontein. All lanes are open and traffic is now free-flowing.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 17 and 18 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. The effects of the unrest in the Middle East continue to show, with South Africa's inflation increasing to 4%.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Visit primemediaplus.com to enter 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for our Josie.
For Joburg, by Joburg, in Joburg.
Bamise bonke.
702.
Live
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Welcome back. It's 5 minutes past 11, the final hour of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Sure, it seems the show today is heated, hey? Another hour, really, of a very difficult conversation, but an important one, necessary to have. Thank you for listening. If you want to go back, you can find the conversation on the Prime Media Plus app or on our YouTube. I think, what do I take from the conversation of the last hour? I think this is one of the times where even as a frustrated Joburg resident, I really do sympathize with the Mayor Dada Morero and the city of Joburg when it comes to cleaning up the CBD. Because, I mean, we heard Seri and they're detailing the law, they're outlining the law. And I can't imagine how many times the city of Joburg would have to go to court every time they want to clear up a building and make sure that things are happening lawfully in a building. That would be how much in legal costs? That's all I can think. That the city is really between a rock and a hard place when it comes to this. That they really, I mean, let's leave out what the intention may be and why they're really doing this and whether this is about scoring political points. Let's leave that out. The point is it's happening, and we are all happy that it's happening. We are happy to see a city of Johannesburg that is clean, a Joburg city center that is clean, and we want things to be lawful, and we want the law to be applied. I'm the first one to say whatever we do, let's do it lawfully. I just think that it's such a difficult place to be in when you are trying to make sure that the city is clean and things work and it's functional, but also you want to be on the right side of the law, especially as the law was detailed by Seri. So I suppose we keep a close eye on that story. I am keeping an eye on the judgment. I haven't seen anything breaking on the TV screens, but I'm sure a judgment will be handed down soon, particularly around that Marble Towers situation. And hopefully it will inform what happens next. I just hope it doesn't mean that the city is going to have to stop cleaning up the Joburg CBD. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to be having a conversation. It's our listener's choice. We talk about body corporates and how they can sometimes be a law unto themselves. What are the laws around body corporates, and what are the responsibilities and the rights? We're going to be having that conversation in just a bit. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Of course, if you live in a place that has a body corporate, what has your experience been? What has the law been like? The interpretation of the law as well around that. You know, oftentimes I do think that body corporates, and I've experienced this, where they just overstep the mark sometimes, and we are not informed adequately around the laws around that space. So I'm looking forward to having that conversation. We're going to be having it in a short while, and then we're going to be having our sharing space. And today we have an interesting one that you'll hear about in the next 20 minutes or so.
702.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
So, body corporates, what are they? How do they operate? And what do they mean for you if you live in a sectional title or a cluster scheme? Many South Africans buy into complexes without fully understanding the legal and financial obligations that come with shared ownership. Body corporates are essential for maintaining property values, community harmony, but sometimes they often come with frustrations, and there's issues around levies, rules, decision making. So what exactly is a body corporate and how is it governed? Jolene Wasserman, I hope I said that right, is the Director of Community Schemes and Compliance at VDM Incorporated. Jolene, good morning. Did I get that right?
Hi, Gemotsu. Yes, it's Wasserman.
Wasserman. Thank you so much for your time, Jolene. I want to start with what body corporates actually are. I mean, is it just the owners in a sectional title, the owners in a certain property?
Yeah. So a body corporate, it's there's thousands of body corporates in our country, you know, and many of us live in a body corporate. And a body corporate actually gets established the minute the developer sells a unit other than what he or she owns himself. So if I buy a unit, then the body corporate is established. And a body corporate manages shared buildings, like you said, apartments, where you own a section and a part of the common property. And that is really what a body corporate is, and it's governed by rules, it's governed by specific legislation in South Africa, and yes, we do live in close proximity to one another if we buy or rent in a body corporate.
Mm. And usually, I mean, there's questions around the rights when it comes to body corporates, right? And we always speak about how the lines usually are blurred, where sometimes body corporates can overstate their lawful compliance or their law, what they can do lawfully. We see that happen quite a bit, don't we?
That's definitely so, Gemotso. So a body corporate, we should have annual general meetings, and at these meetings annually, we elect what we call a board of trustees. And this board of trustees are the custodian of the body corporate, and they stand in a fiduciary duty towards each and every member of that body corporate. And that's where the lines get blurred sometimes, as they say, I'm a draconian chairperson or a trustee, and I enforce my will amongst the members. And it is actually very important to realize for the listeners today that the members have the majority, the power. They make the decisions. But if you do not attend your meetings, if you don't pitch to execute your voting right at these meetings as a member, you do not have a vote, and then you leave it up to very few to make these decisions. So it's very, very important for us as members to be proactive in our body corporate, to step up, to be a trustee and or be part of the decision-making process as members.
And who outlines the legal duties of the elected trustees?
Yeah. So there's a piece of legislation that protects every homeowner in a body corporate. It's called the Sectional Title Schemes Management Act, and it stipulates there the fiduciary duty of the trustees, what they may or what they can and cannot do. So it's very important to hold the trustees liable if they breach their fiduciary duty. But this is the shocking factor, Homotso. Excuse me, and this is what I'm doing my doctorate about, is that there's no prescribed minimum legal requirement or training even that we have to do as trustees in South Africa to become a trustee. So it says, we're going to be held personally liable. But what is the training that me or you have done in order to become a board member? So there's no legal requirement, no standard at all. And that is what I'm testing at the end of the day, because I think it's all good and well that you are holding me liable, but against what standard? What is my minimum training? Do I get trained to read the annual financial statement or to enter into that R1 million solar agreement on behalf of the body corporate? So we must keep this in mind.
And is this something in the works to have trustees trained somehow?
Yes, most definitely. And I'm talking about training through the regulator, the Community Scheme Ombud Services, the regulator, or through any individual or institution that can conduct training for trustees, and to say you have to have, say, a minimum amount of hours and then you can become a trustee. So it's super, super important, because the decisions we do make as trustees, we tie in the entire body corporate in those decisions.
We are speaking about body corporates this morning, and my guest is Jolene Wasserman, the Director of Community Schemes and Compliance at VDM Incorporated. Someone here saying on body corporates, we recently received emails stating that owners will be handed over. Okay, I think I lost that one. Okay, there we go. Will be handed over for debt collection 7 days after levies are due. Essentially, that means owners have to make full payment 14 days after receiving the bill. Is that lawful? And that's from Khotazo. That doesn't sound lawful, Jolene, is it?
Yeah, so this is the biggest problem we've got in South Africa, Khomotsu, is arrear contributions. You get two types of people, I always say: those who refuse to pay their levies and those who simply cannot afford to pay their levies, be it it's COVID pandemic, or I've lost my job, or I'm a single parent, etc. There you can work with that type of person, say, all right, Jolene, we can sign into an acknowledgement of debt, etc. But most body corporates do not have these credit control policies, and then you get body corporates, like you just mentioned, that the listener said, that have to pay their dues within 14 days. I recommend that a credit control policy say if you are 60 days in arrears, you will be handed over to soft collections. That means contact the person. Tell that person, Jolene, can you pay amount of your levies over a certain amount of time, and don't just leave it. So it's also the flip side of the coin. Now we hear 14 days. That is a bit strict, and even in my opinion, I'll be honest with you. But then we also get trustees that leaves it for 2 years, and then Jolene accumulates 100,000 rand of arrears. So it must be controlled, and it must be reasonable at the end of the day, in my view, to order to collect levies and arrear levies.
And Muntu is asking, do trustees get paid for being trustees?
Oh, that is such a hot topic in South Africa, and that is exactly what I'm researching in my thesis. Let's look at it like this, Khomotso. Say Jolene works her full-time position. Now she's also a trustee, and I get calls all hours of the day and night. I have to sit in board meetings. I have to deal with owners and residents, etc., and I don't get paid. So the majority of body corporates in the country are struggling financially. Now you want to pay Jolene as well. However, you expect Jolene to do a perfect job without getting paid. So you see where I'm going with this. It's a very sensitive topic. But no, it's not automatic for trustees to get paid. There must be a members' resolution before any trustees can be paid any type of remuneration in a body corporate.
Yeah, I want to take another question. Someone saying, please ask, why is a body corporate, or why do they always abuse the little power they have, locking you out if you have outstanding levies and CSOS not helping, but they are a body to overlook this body corporates?
Yeah, that is actually the example you just mentioned is actually unconstitutional, Khomotso. If I'm not paying my levies, you can't lock me out of the estate because it's an access, my denial of access, my right to access my own complex. So, and as I understand, the CSOS turns those matters around within 24 hours, denial of access to your complex. That is an urgent matter on the CSOS's role. Equally so, if you disconnect someone's electricity and water illegally without a court order, of course, that can get turned around by CSOS within 24 hours. But yes, there's lots of body corporates in our country that abuse their powers, whether it be in the board of trustees, whether there is no board of trustees, whether it's a group of owners or there's factions. There's many things. A failure there's complete failure of governance within body corporates in our country, unfortunately.
All right, we are speaking about body corporates. More on this after the break.
Tax deadlines don't have to result in penalties. With the 31 May employer submission deadline approaching, avoid lastminute.com. Submit your accurate employer reconciliation declaration, EMP 501, on time using EasyFile or e-filing. Employers, make your tax matters your priority number one. Submit by 31 May 2026. Go to sars.gov.za. SARS, at your service.
Let's hear from Al, owner of Johnson's Cable, why it pays to switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance.
I thought it was going to be difficult to switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance. Switching was so quick and easy. I'm happy with the premium that I'm paying now.
For electrical, tradesman services, and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Shame. Do you have a sore throat? The Andalex range of lozenges offers two options. At the first signs of an irritated, scratchy throat, use Andalex lozenges for dual action, soothing relief. But for a painful, inflamed throat, use Andalex C lozenges for triple action, pain relief. Andalex, SA's #1 choice for a sore mouth and throat. Andalex lozenges are available at all leading pharmacies and supermarkets.
Just Andalex it.
My name is Richard Sutton, and I'm the host of the podcast Shift Happens. This podcast is about you and the seasons of growth, change, and transformation that shape who you become. My guests are people who have walked long, difficult roads and along the way developed the tools and skills they needed not just to survive, but to thrive and make a real impact in the world. So if you're feeling stuck, uncertain, or searching for what's next, this podcast is for you. Welcome to Shift Happens. Now streaming on PrimeMediaPlus.com, the Prime Media Plus app, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
Welcome back. It's 11:20. We're speaking about body corporates this morning on our listener's choice. And I've got Jolene Basserman, who's Director of Community Schemes and Compliance at VDM Incorporated. Let's take some of your voice notes.
Good morning, Khomotso. I live in a Gulf state where there is a body corporate. I agree, the rules are strict. Some of them, you might say they are unfair, but they have to be there. So, but I decided to make a trade-off. Instead of going to live in a freestanding house where I'm always worried about crime, I'd rather obey the rules. In our house, I don't know when last did I see our house keys. Our key doesn't get locked. Our house doesn't get locked. We leave in the morning, and whoever comes early just opens the house and get into the house. So that's the rules are just the sacrifice that we had to choose to make. So I don't have a problem with them at all. Kabel in Pretoria.
Greetings. Beyond the fact that there's no legal requirement for training, most trustees don't understand the basic elements of maintenance. So when they get quotes or someone tells them they need to do X, Y, Z and the next, they can be led by the nose, pay overinflated prices. It would be better for there to be an executive managing agent who has a cost accountant, project manager who knows the price of per square meterage of fixing something, painting the roof, repairing the trusses or whatever. That is where most of the money is wasted because people don't understand it. And you also need to have a healthy understanding of the law as well.
Thank you so much for those voice notes. Jolene, it sounds like it's going to be tougher and tougher to be a trustee, and you're going to have to be very qualified in the near future.
Yeah, I think what the first listener said in his voice note is it's very, very important, and it's encouraging to hear. You know, if we live in a community scheme such as a homeowner association or a body corporate, it can be absolutely wonderful, not only for security reasons, but because, there is rules. And if we make a decision in making those rules, it's not someone else making those rules. You just need to be involved as an owner. And if I may add to that, there's a beautiful provision in the CSOS Act, as well in the Sectional Title Schemes Management Act. Now, CSOS is the regulator, as I said before, of all community schemes in South Africa, that a body corporate's rules must be submitted to the CSOS before it can be enforced by the trustees in a body corporate. And the majority of body corporates in this country, Khomotso's rules, are not quality assured by the CSOS and a compliance certificate issued. Now, what does that mean? That means that Jolene can simply, I can do what I want in my body corporate. If I want to swim naked in the communal swimming pool and my dog barking 24/7, and the CSOS has not given us a Section 10 compliance certificate to say, right, our rules is fair, it's constitutional, above board, and it applies equally to everyone in the body corporate, the trustees cannot fine me from the second transgression onwards. So that's why it's very, very important, not just to have fair rules in your body corporate, but to ensure that you can enforce those rules against the transgressions. And you cannot do that if the CSOS didn't give you their stamp of approval. And I think with the second listener voice note is also very important, and that's the problem we're sitting with. The trustees are simply not educating themselves on the legislation because there is no minimum requirement for them to do so. And at the end of the day, sometimes we are ill-advised as trustees, or sometimes we are just spiteful and we do things to the detriment of the body corporate. And that's what we need to protect against, is those people that have ill intentions towards us as a body corporate.
There's a really sad WhatsApp here. Someone saying our body corp is refusing to build a ramp for a paraplegic child. How fair is this?
Wow, that's you know what? That's why I always say, Khomotso, if we can just apply common sense sometimes in a body corporate where we live, that would also go a long way, and just to be humane in order to understand other people's needs. So that's really sad to hear. I'm sorry to say, yeah.
And can they do anything to force them to build?
Well, you know what? There's a provision in the law. We call it a 10-year maintenance plan, and that is to avoid the S word, I always say, special levy. Because in the past, before the CSOS were promulgated about 10 years ago, it said, you can incur a special levy. Now we say no. If it's in the maintenance plan, the 10-year maintenance plan, and it's budgeted for and it's not urgent, we don't have to incur special levy. So going back to this wheelchair ramp, I wouldn't say why it can't be built. See what it's get 3 quotations in, see if there's budget for it to be built, So it's really just about sitting down and discussing this as a community. But more 9 out of 10 times with certain body corporates, you just simply can't talk to the trustees, or they refuse to talk to you. They say they are the law and that's how it is. And that's the sad part of it.
Mm. And can the body corp hold trustees legally accountable? So if they feel like they're flouting the law in whatever they're doing, how do they hold them legally accountable?
That's the thing. That's exactly how you say it, Khomotso, and that's 100% correct. If I'm breaching my fiduciary duty as a trustee, the members can hold me liable at the end of the day. They can say, but Jolene, you entered into this contract willingly, knowingly that we don't have the funds as the body corporate to do so, or second of all, you have a direct interest in that. You've not declared your interest. So most definitely you can be and must be held accountable as a trustee if you are putting the body corporate at risk, if you're endangering the body corporate, be it financially, administratively, etc. And that's what we need to realize, not to scare trustees off and say, I don't want to be a trustee. But at the end of the day, we need to say this is a responsibility because we are protecting not only the assets of the majority, but our own assets in the body corporate. You don't want to buy R1 million section in a body corporate and then not not make any decisions, etc. And that's what we do in body corporates. We buy that R1 million unit and then never to be heard of us again as owners. We leave it up to other people, and when the power gets disconnected by the local authority or there's a special levy being incurred, then all of a sudden we want to say, oh, but hey, what went wrong? So if I can advise, just get involved so it doesn't get to that point where you have to hold your trustees liable for whatever breaches they've done within your body corporate.
Someone asking us to keep them anonymous says our body corporate has passed a resolution at the AGM that any owner that has arrears of less than 30 days will have their electricity cut off. They've also enforced it as illegal as it is.
You see, that is illegal. This is what I'm talking about. Doesn't say if the majority of owners approved it, then we unanimously said, we're going to switch off your power if you don't pay levies. That's valid then, because it's against the law to disconnect electricity. You can't disconnect my basic services without a court or whether 100% of the body corporate approved it or not. Now, that resolution is illegal, and that matter must be taken up. It must be either taken to the CISOs or it must be challenged in court because it's simply illegal as it stands.
Oh, all right, Jolene Wasserman, thank you so much for this. Thank you for that. I suppose, a big question that people have, Jolene, is when they see and identify unlawful acts. So someone doing something unlawful, particularly in their body corp, can they do anything? It almost feels as though their hands are tied in instances like this.
Yeah, it seems so, but most definitely at the end of the day, I always say that, Khomotso, we need to protect our immovable property, whether we live in it ourselves or whether it's an investment property and we got a tenant that's renting our unit. We need to protect our asset. Now, how can I protect my asset if there's illegal shenanigans happening in that body corporate? And that's why the CISOS has been established, the regulator. The matters must be reported to the CISOS. Their adjudication orders hold the same power as a high court order. They have the teeth, the CISOS. So that must be reported. You can't leave it because a property hijacking of buildings doesn't happen with a crowbar and a gun, I always say. It happens with these small decisions we do not take if we see something is wrong or something is illegal or someone is doing something that is against the law. We should act on it because we need to protect our asset. The worst thing is I'm buying my property and I can't sell it down the line, or I have to sell it for half the value because nobody wants to buy into this specific body corporate. So always think about that.
All right. Thank you so much for that. That's Jolene Wasserman, Director of Community Schemes and Compliance of VDM Incorporated. Thank you for your time. All right.
Thank you so much.
It's 11:30, time for the Advertisements headlines with Mbali Dlamini.
Thanks, Khumutso. A very good morning.
Good morning.
The effects of the unrest in the Middle East continue to show, with South Africa's inflation increasing to 4%. Statistics South Africa says the reading from April has been driven by sharp fuel increases. Energy markets have been on a wild ride after Iran closed the key Strait of Hormuz waterway in retaliation over U.S. and Israeli strikes. Opposition parties have been outlining their expectations and election promises ahead of Joburg Mayor Dada Morero's State of the City address today. In line with that, Action SA's Johannesburg mayoral candidate Herman Mashaba has delivered what he calls the real State of the City address in Alex this morning. Morero will be delivering his address at the St. Mary's Cathedral in the city centre later this afternoon. While the case against a Soweto pastor accused of raping his 12-year-old relative has been postponed for further investigations, Tsepo Ntimane was arrested after the alleged incident took place at his house in Dobsonville over the Easter weekend. The state is currently awaiting forensic evidence, including DNA results, toxicology reports, as well as outstanding video footage. Well, those are the headlines this EWN and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
In the traffic at this hour, look out for faulty traffic lights in Sandton at Grayston and Catherine Street, in Roodepoort at Hendrik Potgieter and Clearwater Entrance, as well as Hendrik Potgieter and Doreen Road. Traffic lights are also out in the capital city in Centurion at Old Johannesburg and Trichard, in Waterkloof Glen at January Masilela in Aramis, as well as in Claremont at Van der Wharf and Bremer Street. If you come across any other traffic, please do send us a WhatsApp voice note on 072-702-1702. Karabo Jale is up next with your next traffic update. From me, Khumutso Munyai, have a good afternoon.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6. Quite a few of our listeners are saying that this seems to them that at the very least you ought to investigate the possibility that he might have been subject to some kind of intimidation or threat. Is that something that you are at least considering possible?
We are unable to even think on what could have happened in the circumstances where there's no explanation that has been forthcoming. Unfortunately, it's unprecedented in the history of the MPA.
Advocate Mthunzi Magas.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
Hello, Joburg. The city of Johannesburg Executive Mayor, Councillor Dada Morero, invites you to tune in for the live broadcast of the 2026 State of the City Address on Wednesday, 20 May. The address themed Building a Foundation for the Future. Your city, our city, will be broadcast at 2 p.m. on the city's social media platforms. Mayor Morero will reflect on the city's progress and outline a way forward where investment in rebuilding infrastructure, reclaiming the inner city, and improving service delivery is prioritized.
It's another girl!
Families multiply, fees shouldn't. With Ultimate Banking, you get support for every chapter. Get discounted banking for your spouse and give each of your children a head start with a Mega U account. Because as your family grows, your banking should keep up. Apply online. Your story matters. ABSA. Terms and conditions apply. ABSA is an authorized financial services provider.
When it comes to protecting your workforce, trust the workwear brand that has been protecting workers for over 150 years, Sweetall. Sweetall has overalls and uniform solutions for every industry, so your team is safe, comfortable, and ready to tackle any challenge. Visit our Boksburg showroom, shop A1 Atlas Road, Westwood, Boksburg, or go to sweetall.com today. Sweetall, we never let you down. Superior protective workwear since 1871.
702.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
Welcome back. It's 26 minutes before 12 right here on the Clement Manyathela Show, and it's time for the sharing space. So let me read it to you. Someone wrote in to Clem, actually. It says, greetings, Clement and team. Please, could you give me advice on something that has been bothering me? I shared a very personal experience I recently had with my friend who is married. The experience was something I was not proud of, and I needed her advice. She gave me advice, and it was really impactful for me. To my surprise, last weekend while visiting my friend her husband made a joke about something, and then he said I could relate because of the situation I had been in. I was shocked because even though I told my friend, I did not expect her husband to be filled in on my secrets. When I confronted my friend, he said it would be unfair of me to expect her not to speak to her husband about everything, even stuff she discusses with her friends. While I understand this, I think there must be a limit on what you share with your husband or partner, especially if it concerns other people. Am I wrong? Do married people or people in serious relationships really share everything with their partners? Hey, so this is a difficult one. I think maybe I should weigh in as a married person. It would be very difficult for me not to share it with my partner, unless you said. And I'm not promising that if you said to me, "Khumza, don't share," I won't share. But unless you said, "Don't share," I think the default setting is to tell your husband or your wife or your partner. Also, there's the, you know how it is. If it's a hot gossip, hey man, it's difficult to keep to yourself. So I can see how the wife may have done this. I do think, though, that in your friendship, if you created that boundary and you said, friend, I'm telling you, I'm not telling your husband, I'm not telling, your partner, then your friend has a responsibility. But I do think generally married people and people in long-term relationships, they share everything. You must just know that when you tell the one person something, that the next person is going to, or their partner is going to know. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Let's help here. This the number to dial is 011-883-0702, or WhatsApp on 072-702-1702. I want to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think that she's being unreasonable to expect her friend to keep this from her husband? I think that she may have been a little oblivious to the realities of how married people work. And I also know, I mean, myself, when I was unmarried, I also had the expectation. I didn't understand it, I think, for me. I just thought, I'm talking to you, you are my friend. I've been in a situation very similar to this. I didn't understand the fact that this person shares everything with their spouse. And I can't expect her to not share this. Maybe I should stop sharing things with her if I have a problem with her spouse knowing. But I do see your voice notes, so let's take a listen to some of them.
In a relationship or marriage, everything will be known by your partner. Everything. Every we start by saying if it's too serious, we take it off WhatsApp. We'll tell each other face to face. That one, it's a difficult one. You just have to say that, please don't tell even your partner, because they're gonna know. We're gonna know.
I know, tell anonymous, it will not work, Sisi. If you say don't tell what I'm telling you, it excludes my husband. I'll tell him, we'll be skinnering or talking about it. So it's unfair to expect your friend not to tell to tell her husband. It's really, it's not gonna happen. I can say I won't tell, but I promise you, it's not a promise I can keep, that one.
And you know, the difficult thing is that you might be talking to me and we are having coffee and we are friends, and then you say, Khumuzo, don't tell. The problem is I might have already told my partner while we were talking there. I would have already sent the WhatsApp to say, yay, Chomi, listen, this is what's going on. By the time you say, Khumuzo, don't tell your husband, it's gone. It's gone, Shem. Tapo, you're in Pretoria. Good morning. Thank you for your call.
Good morning, Khumuz. What an interesting topic. I think the greatest gossip, I'm sure you know that saying, the greatest gossip are partners. You know, I think it's difficult to keep that one, to yourself. I don't know how many times we do that, to say, look, I'm going to keep it to myself, but it's not easy. Yeah, no.
The first person you want to tell is your partner.
I promise you. It's a quite interesting one. Yeah, thank you, Khumuz.
Thank you so much for your call. I don't even know if a disclaimer works. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if your disclaimer to say, Khumzo, don't tell. I don't even think it will. I'm not sure it will work. I might tell my partner, I might tell my husband to say, listen, they said I mustn't tell you. So, shh. But I can't promise that I'm going to keep that secret. I'm so sorry. Let's take more voice notes.
Hi, 702. It's Janice here from Rudderwood. I told my friend a secret a few years ago, and she told her husband. And I had asked her not to say anything to her husband, and I was truly devastated. I was absolutely furious, and I went out for a walk around the block. And I'd always said that if you do something like this to me, our friendship is finished. Well, walked around the block, thought about it, came back and decided that my friendship with her was far more important, that I loved her a lot. And, well, we are still friends today. So, yeah, I think that it's difficult for people not to tell their husbands and partners. But I can say from my own experience, I was pretty devastated by what she did. But it was forgiven and all has forgotten, and we are still friends to this day. And it's probably happened about 15 years ago.
Morning, Khomotso. This is Rachel from Pretoria. Your husband is your husband. You, as my friend, does not make your husband my friend. So if I tell you something and I say, don't tell your husband, you don't tell your husband. If you are unable to keep it from your husband, tell me that you cannot do that so that I do not tell you. I have a friend who always asks me if she can share what I share with her husband. And she accepts if I say yes or if I say no. Thank you.
Yeah, or so you think. Or so you think that she accepts. You see, the real villain in all of this is the husband, I think. I think the villain here is the husband. The husband had no business making reference to that. I mean, they didn't tell him, right? The husband was just supposed to keep quiet and act like they don't know anything. And I think that's what happens in most relationships, actually, where the partner, you'll tell your husband or your partner, spouse, and you share with them, but you don't expect them to make it known that you told them. I actually think the problem here is the husband. It's how you conduct yourself once I've shared this information with you. Let's take more voice notes.
Good day, Khomotso, to the 702 listeners. I'd like to remain anonymous. Personally, Khomotso, I think she crossed the line. That's for me personally. Because obviously the nature of that thing, when I say to you, I'm not proud of what I have done, that alone should tell you that this is something that I need it kept between us, because then otherwise I would have maybe made it a public knowledge. Maybe it was too heavy on her, and then she thought maybe let me just offload on her. And another thing I would say, yes, I understand maybe if you don't keep any secrets between you as partners, but the least you could do is not to tell the other person that I've told you. I mean, look at it this way: when we go to the doctors or the lawyers, the patients' confidentiality and stuff like that, do you think those doctors and lawyers come back and share the stuff with their wives or husbands?
Hi, Komotso. That's very true what you're saying, and I 100% agree with you that married people and people that are in long-term relationships do share everything. Okay, I might be disciplined not to share it today, but mind you, one of these days I'm just gonna cross the line and I'm gonna tell you, you know what I'm saying. So we are used, like I'm married for 10 years now, I'm used to just, even some of the sensitive family stuff I do share with my wife, and so does she when anything happens by her family side, because herself and I are one, and I just find it difficult, in as much as I can tell myself that I'm going to share anything, but one of these days I'll just ask myself, oh, I've just shared. So it's like a default setting. You can't take that away from, unless of course if they don't really get well as partners. But if everything is well and nothing is problematic between them, look, they are going to share.
Yeah.
This is courage in Pretoria.
Yeah, in fact, I think at the point where you say, please don't share, that becomes the burden. it would become a burden on me. I know when you tell me don't share, I just feel I feel like I'm carrying this secret, and it's not even my secret. But now I feel like I'm carrying this thing, and I'm really working. And maybe it's because I'm an overthinker, but I'm working so desperately and hard to keep this away from my husband. I think that would be even more difficult. When you say don't share, that's why I want to share even more. But someone else said that it may be that you decide to keep this from your spouse, your husband, your wife, because you fear that your spouse's views and what they think about your friend will change. But also, your spouse might feel, what are you doing associating with people like that? So then you keep it from them, depending on whatever was shared, whatever secret was shared, because you don't want your partner to hold certain views about your friend, and you don't want your partner to now look at you differently for having friends who do certain things. I do think that's one of the reasons why people say they do not share, and they keep it to themselves just so that their spouses don't have views about their partners and then start being uncomfortable with the friendship that you have. Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, there's more voice notes coming in.
The pain of losing a loved one is never easy. It will leave you feeling overwhelmed. At Clientele, we understand that burying loved ones with dignity truly matters. Our funeral plans pay out cash within just 24 hours, and you receive 200 Rand airtime when you claim to make those important calls. Plus, we cover up to 13 people on one plan. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Whenever she fell or got hurt, a kiss always took the pain away. Honey and hugs helped at first when the coughing started. It's just a cold. Keep her warm and she'll be fine, we thought. I wish I could kiss RSV away too. Respiratory syncytial virus is a contagious virus that can lead to serious illnesses, including lung infections. Fortunately, protection for infants against RSV is now available in South Africa. Ask your healthcare provider about keeping your baby protected during their first RSV season.
Gauteng is currently experiencing high water consumption. To avoid water interruptions, residents are urged to use water sparingly to allow equitable supply. Act now, save water. Every drop counts. This message is brought to you by the Department of Water and Sanitation, Rand Water, Gauteng Provincial Government, City of Johannesburg, City of Tshwane, and City of Ekurhuleni.
702. Call us on 011 883 0702.
We're taking more of your comments, your calls, and your WhatsApps on our sharing space today. And of course, we've been speaking about what would you do, and it's someone who's written in where she shared something with a friend, and the friend shared it with the spouse, and she wasn't happy about that. And the spouse actually verbalized it. I think for me, it's the fact that the spouse felt comfortable enough to even say that, oh, you would relate with this because this happened to you. I think I'd be very upset with my partner about that. Let's take some voice notes.
So, good morning. This is Tembi from Johannesburg. You know what? Now I understand because some of these marriages are turning in too. Cheers.
As some people may say, right? You are the reason, you are the pillars in those marriages. In fact, people wouldn't have anything to talk about if they didn't talk about you, gossip. I hope that's not the case. I really, really hope that's not the case. But I want to hear from you on, those people that say, I don't share with my partner because that may change what they think about the spouse. That may change about what they think about my friend, and they may end up being uncomfortable with my friendship or my relationship. There's more voice notes.
Hi, Komoso. I feel horrid. The husband's friend, Anas Fuba, and he needs to. I think it was wrong for him to tell his wife's friend about exposing what she's going through. It was not right, and I feel horrid. He shouldn't have said that because I think this matter seems like it's a private matter, and I think even if though the wife had the right to share with the husband, but the husband was wrong to expose to the friend or he's aware of what she's going through. Thank you, NDP from Pretoria West. Bye.
Hi, Homoto N702. One rule that I live by is if you want to keep it a secret, tell it to no one. The moment you tell it to someone, they'll tell it to someone, they'll tell it to someone. That's how it goes.
I understand what they're saying, that it's challenging to keep something from your spouse, but there's certain things I don't, particularly sensitive issues of friends. I've got a friend that I think we respect so much, but one day he just became very vulnerable about something extremely sensitive. And it's been years, and I haven't told my wife, and I don't even intend to tell her, because it's going to change how she sees this guy. He's one of our good friends. So yeah, I don't tell everything. There are minor things that I've got no consequences. Yeah, I can share, but not everything.
Sure. Yeah, you see there, that's difficult. When you know that it's going to change how they see them, I can understand that. I can understand that. You know, you don't want to create an environment, especially if you are all friends. If you're all friends and it's spouses, or the one unmarried friend is friends with you and your spouse, and they like each other and the environment is good, you don't want to share anything with your spouse that may change how they see your partner, or how they see your friend. So I understand that. And I also think it's the same as when they say don't share things with your family about your spouse, because your family will never see your spouse the same way. They won't look at him the same way. It's the same thing where you say your partner won't see your friend the same way. He might even start feeling uncomfortable with you maintaining that friendship. And for me, if I value the friendship, then I would consider, maybe let me not say this. I mean, imagine me sharing now, I share Mang cheated, or this one did this to their partner, or, I do think that can be a little tricky. And maybe that's where I draw the line.
Hi, Komuzo. I don't think the telling of the wife or the husband is the problem. The problem was the husband then making a joke and referring to the issue that the friend had shared with her friend.
Yeah.
That was the issue. The husband was not supposed to do something of that kind. But sharing with your wife or husband, I mean, that is something that will always happen, whether we like it or not. It's going to happen. Pillow talk.
Hi, Homo. So what happened is that I opened up about my sexuality to a friend. I was just like, hey, let me tell him, because he's an understanding guy, and he was understanding. He was cool. He was like, no, he's still my friend and all that. The following day, his girlfriend started calling me, hi, Chomi. I was like, what happened? But I never asked anyone any questions. I just let it be. So yeah.
No, Komoto. The friend to share the secret with the other friend was not the wrong thing, but the wrong thing, the wife can tell the husband, but the husband was wrong to make it as a joke, because it wasn't a joke at all. It was a serious situation which a friend tried to complain to another friend. Joshua here. Bye.
No, not Chomi. No. You see, that's the problem I have. They're crossing the line, and it's the wife that crossed the line. It's not even the friend. It's not your friend who's the problem. It's the fact that the wife felt comfortable enough to do that. I mean, what was she doing? No, that's unacceptable behavior. I'm so sorry. I do think, yeah, your spouse must know. Also, when you share with a spouse or your partner, I hope you share with a partner who can be responsible with the information that you share. And you tell them that you need to be responsible. I'm telling you because you're my bestie, you're my friend, we get along, but please, this is not for the public, and it's certainly not for you to fraternize and joke now with the person who told me. For me, that's where it's just unacceptable behavior. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. I can imagine how taken aback and shocked you may have been hearing chomi from, no, that's wrong. I hope that you confronted your friend about that. I do see more of your voice notes and your WhatsApps coming in.
Hi, Komoto. Yo, that lady, what did she say? Doctors and lawyers, they share very well. They share with their friends. Yes, they will not publicly share with people who do not know how to keep quiet. Everybody shares. We all share.
somehow, somewhere, it comes out. Those people that talk in Ubers, those people, everybody shares. I tell my wife everything. I especially when it's hot. I'm like, yo, baby, could tell somebody.
I'm gonna take that. Maybe Kitsuri could tell somebody. I need to take that actually tonight. I need to say, let me tell you, there's something about information that you shouldn't share, whether it's a secret. There's something about it that burns you, man. It burns you. You want to share. You never want to share the information that's publicly available, that everyone knows, that everyone said, no, what's the fun? Where's the fun in that? The one that's a secret, that's the real tea that you want to share with your partner. And it's really sad if your partner or if your friend says you can't. I can't, like it just makes it so difficult. It makes you want to share it even more. And I sympathize though with our person here from the sharing space who shared with this this information.
Hi, from House 702 listeners. I've never been married, and I'm a guy, and I'm in a relationship, and you tell me something, that's the first person I'm telling my partner. So it's kind of, I don't know what word to use for you to tell me something and not expect me to go tell the person that I'm 80% with my time. 80% of my time I'm with this person. It's kind of unfair. But as the husband that is being told this information, you're supposed to pretend as if you've never heard this information when you hear it. So I also blame the husband.
And then they say men don't gossip. Then they say women are the ones who gossip. Men don't gossip. Hey. All these men here that are telling us how they love the tea, they enjoy the gossip with their partners. And they are the ones that even go share with their partners. Thank you so much for your voice notes. Thank you so much for your calls.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes on 702.
My show is about your money, and it's about how people have made their money. But it's also about what happened to your money today, what happened on the JSE, what's happening overseas. All of these things, all about the way in which people make their money, spend their money, use their money, and in so many ways, use their money to make more money for them. What I absolutely love about the 702 family and 702 land is the huge warmth of people, the generosity that they show. But I also absolutely love the hustle. Anyone in business is actually trying to improve the economy. They're trying to have an impact on all of us. And there's a go-getting attitude to 702 land that you don't see in so many other places. That's what I really love about 702 land. That getting together and doing something new, and in the process, making money.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes. Weekdays from 6 to 8 p.m.
The 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk is calling you to walk with the people, for the people, on Sunday the 26th of July, Babize Bonke. And this year you can choose from 3 different inner city routes. The 5-kilometer Victoria Yards route takes you from Ellis Park through the inspirational Joburg Cricket Club into Victoria Yards and past the Troyville Hotel, and then finish off at Ellis Park. So whether you're taking on the 5-kilometer, the 8-kilometer, or 15-kilometer, enter now on primemediaplus.com. And get ready for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg.
It's 6 a.m. in Kenya. Victor's little sister starts high school today, but her fees need to be paid first. Back in Josie, Victor logs onto the Absa banking app and sends her money and a little extra for lunch. It arrives instantly.
Your money makes their world go round. Send cash to 18 countries across the world with Absa Global Pay. It's safe, instant, and affordable. Your story matters. Absa is an authorized FSP and a registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Coming up
on the Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
The Midday Report is coming up in a minute, and Mandy Wiener is in studio. What's coming up on your show, ma'am?
Hey, so the city of Joburg is fighting an interdict preventing it from demolishing structures at Marble Towers. So we'll get the latest from that court case. As you've been speaking about as well, March and March has taken to the streets in Durban in response to yesterday's gathering of foreigners at the police station. The EFF has gone to court over the finance minister's powers on the fuel levy. Inflation surging to 4%. We were expecting this, and so it begins. And then Eskom has issued a notice to cut power in Joburg if it doesn't pay its debt. Broke Joburg.
Sure.
So we'll look at all of that.
Yeah, many problems here in Joburg, eh? They're being taken to court by marble towers. I mean, there's Eskom also there on their backs. A lot's going on in our Josie. All right, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your contributions today, and thank you for your WhatsApps, your voice notes. They are much appreciated. We do it again tomorrow between 9 and 12. For now, it's goodbye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Bali Lamini. The effects of the unrest in the Middle East continue to show, with South Africa's inflation increasing to 4%. Statistics South Africa says the reading from April has been driven by a sharp fuel increase. Energy markets have been on a wild ride after Iran closed the key Strait of Hormuz waterway in retaliation